Welcome back, everyone. We're glad to have you here with us. Tonight, we're letting the experts speak for themselves. The engineers who drew the blueprints, the pilots who flew the missions, the scientists who analyzed what they couldn't explain. For decades, they've carried secrets that were never meant to see daylight. What you're about to hear comes directly from the people who were there, men and women who signed oaths of silence, who devoted their careers to projects that officially never existed. Some speak openly now. Others still hide behind carefully chosen words and anonymous interviews. So settle in. Let their voices guide you into sleep. The experts are ready to talk. Are you ready to listen? Chapter 1. The Engineers Who Built the Impossible. In 1955, Kelly Johnson received a phone call that would change his life. The voice on the other end was quiet, official, and asked only one question. Could he design something that didn't exist? Johnson, already a legend at Lockheed's advanced development projects, thought he understood impossible engineering challenges. He was wrong. What followed was an invitation to join a program so classified it had no official name. Johnson and his hand-picked team of engineers would later call themselves the Skunk Works. But in those early days at Groom Lake, they were simply the men who built what couldn't be built. They showed us blueprints, recalled Ben Rich, who worked under Johnson for nearly 2 decades. But they weren't like any blueprints we'd seen before. The proportions were wrong. The materials were listed as classified composition. And the performance specifications? Rich paused in his 1994 interview, the last he would give before his death. Let's just say they required us to forget everything we knew about aerodynamics. The engineers who worked at Area 51 during its formative years describe a unique recruitment process. They weren't hired through normal channels. Instead, they were approached individually, often by people who wouldn't identify themselves. The conversations were always the same. How would you like to work on aircraft that could change the world? How comfortable are you with complete secrecy? And most importantly, how open are you to building something that might not be entirely human in origin? Dr. William Barnes, a propulsion specialist who joined the program in 1958, described his first day at Groom Lake. They drove us out there in buses with blacked-out windows. When we arrived, the place looked like any other test facility. Runways, hangars, typical military setup. But when they showed us into Hangar 18, that's when we knew this was different. What Barnes saw changed his understanding of engineering forever. There was a craft under a tarp, not unusual for a classified program. But when they pulled back the covering, I understood why they'd recruited us from outside normal channels. The thing had no visible seams, no rivets, no welds. The hull looked like it had been poured in a single piece, and the shape it wasn't designed for Earth's atmosphere, at least not by anyone who learned aerodynamics here. The engineers describe being divided into small teams, each working on specific components. Johnson's compartmentalization wasn't just about security, it was about preventing any one person from seeing the full scope of what they were building. I worked on wing design for 3 years, explained former structural engineer Harold Davidson, but these wings didn't generate lift the way wings should. The calculations didn't work with known physics. We had to develop entirely new mathematical models. Davidson's team was given materials that defied conventional analysis. The metal samples they provided were lighter than aluminum, but stronger than steel. They conducted electricity in ways that shouldn't be possible. When we tried to cut samples for testing, our tools would dull instantly. When we applied heat, the material would change color, but never showed stress fractures. We called it memory metal, but that doesn't begin to describe what it could do. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of the work was the source of the blueprints. Multiple engineers described being handed technical drawings that appeared to be reverse engineered from existing craft. The schematics showed how things worked, but not how to build them, recalled propulsion engineer Margaret Stevens, one of the few women on Johnson's team. It was like being given a photograph of a finished symphony and being asked to figure out the notes. Stevens worked on what the team called unconventional propulsion systems. We were asked to design engines that produced no exhaust, no heat signature, and no sound. The specifications called for instantaneous acceleration and the ability to hover indefinitely. According to everything I'd learned in 20 years of aerospace engineering, such systems were impossible. But the reference materials suggested they weren't just possible, they were already built. The psychological pressure on the engineers was immense. We signed agreements that essentially erased us from existence, explained electronics specialist Robert Chen. Our families were told we were working on classified military projects, which was true, but they had no idea we were trying to recreate technology that seemed to come from somewhere else entirely. Chen's specialty was control systems, and his accounts remain among the most detailed. The interface panels we were asked to reproduce had no physical switches or buttons. Instead, they responded to proximity and, we eventually realized, to electrical fields generated by the human nervous system. It was as if the craft was designed to be operated by thought rather than manual control. We spent months learning to interface with machines that seemed more alive than built. The breakthrough moments, according to the engineers, came not through human innovation, but through careful study of existing examples. We had access to 3 partial craft and 1 complete vehicle, revealed former team leader Dr. James Morrison in a 1998 interview. Our job wasn't to design from scratch. It was to understand, to reverse engineer, and eventually to improve upon designs that were already decades ahead of anything in our aerospace industry. The engineers worked in shifts around the clock, 7 days a week. Security was absolute. We ate, slept, and worked on the base, explained materials scientist Dr. Linda Foster. Phone calls home were monitored. Mail was censored. We lived in a bubble where the only reality was the impossible machines we were trying to understand. Some of us cracked under the pressure. Others found a strange peace in working on technology that challenged every assumption we'd ever made about engineering. Foster's work focused on analyzing hull materials. The outer skin of these craft wasn't just metal, it was adaptive. Under different temperatures, it would change texture, color, even its basic molecular structure. We spent years trying to replicate just a few square inches of that material. The closest we came was a titanium alloy that could shift between rigid and flexible states. But it was primitive compared to what we were studying. By the early 1960s, the engineers had achieved several breakthroughs. The U-2 spy plane incorporated design elements learned from their studies. Later, the SR-71 Blackbird pushed those innovations even further. But according to the engineers themselves, these public successes were just the surface. The real advances remained hidden. The world thinks the stealth fighter was our greatest achievement, noted Ben Rich in his final interview, but that was just what we were allowed to show. The technology we developed from studying those craft, then, well, let's say we learned things that won't see daylight for decades, if ever. We built prototypes that could do things the public won't believe for another 50 years. As the original team aged and retired, they carried their secrets into civilian life. Some remained silent forever. Others, like Rich and Morrison, began speaking carefully about their experiences in later years. Their accounts form a consistent picture of engineering work that went far beyond normal classified aircraft development. Chapter 2. Test Pilots Speak, Flying What Shouldn't Fly. Colonel William Chuck Peterson never thought he'd break his silence. For 43 years he carried the weight of what he experienced in the skies above Groom Lake. But in 2008, facing his final battle with cancer, Peterson decided the world deserved to know what American test pilots had really been flying since the 1950s. They called them Foreign Technology Evaluation Flights, Peterson explained from his hospital bed, FTE missions. That was military speak for flying machines that weren't built by us, weren't built by the Russians, and sure as hell weren't built by anyone else on this planet. Peterson's first assignment to Area 51 came in 1962. Fresh from his tour as a U-2 pilot, he thought he'd seen the cutting edge of aviation technology. The briefing officer who met him at Groom Lake quickly corrected that assumption. He showed me to a hangar I'd never seen before. Inside was something that looked like a flying saucer straight out of a science fiction movie. Disc-shaped, about 30 feet across, with a hull so smooth it seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The officer turned to me and said, "Congratulations, Colonel. You're about to become humanity's first interplanetary test pilot." The craft Peterson was assigned to evaluate had no visible engines, no exhaust ports, no control surfaces. The cockpit, if it could be called that, was a cramped space with walls that curved seamlessly into each other. There were no instruments in any conventional sense, just smooth panels that remained dark until touched. The seat molded itself to my body when I sat down, Peterson recalled. The moment I made contact, the walls around me became transparent, not windows, mind you. The metal itself turned clear as glass. I could see 360 degrees around the craft. Below me, the desert floor stretched out like I was sitting in empty air. Captain Sarah Mitchell joined the FTE program in 1974, one of the first women pilots cleared for what the base called anomalous aircraft evaluation. Her experience echoed Peterson's, but with disturbing additions that suggested the technology was advancing. My craft responded to thought, Mitchell explained in a 1999 interview conducted under strict anonymity agreements. I don't mean it had some kind of brainwave interface. I mean the machine seemed to read my intentions before I'd fully formed them. I'd think about rising, and we'd rise. I'd imagine turning left, and the craft would bank smoothly in that direction. It was like flying inside my own nervous system. Mitchell described flight characteristics that violated every principle of aerodynamics she'd learned. We could hover motionless for hours, with no visible means of lift. We could accelerate from 0 to Mach 3 in seconds, with no G-force effects on the pilot. Most unsettling of all, we could make right-angle turns at high speed without the craft experiencing any stress. The hull would actually bend space around itself. The psychological impact on the pilots was severe. Many described feeling as though they were merging with the aircraft during flight, losing track of where their body ended and the machine began. It wasn't like flying, explained Major Robert Hayes, who flew FTE missions from 1968 to 1976. It was like becoming something else entirely. The craft would anticipate my needs, adjust its configuration before I knew I wanted it to change. After a while, I started wondering who was really in control. Hayes flew what he called the Silent Series, craft that produced no sound regardless of their speed or maneuvers. We could break the sound barrier and produce no sonic boom. We could hover next to ground personnel, and they couldn't hear us even from 10 feet away. The absence of sound wasn't just strange, it was unnatural. These machines seemed to move through the air without displacing it. The pilots describe a rigorous selection process for FTE missions. Candidates underwent psychological evaluation, brain wave monitoring, and what one pilot called consciousness compatibility testing. Not everyone could interface with the anomalous aircraft. About one pilot in 20 could actually fly them, revealed Lieutenant Colonel James Crawford in his 2003 memoir. The rest would sit in the cockpit and nothing would happen. The craft would remain inert, unresponsive. It was as if the machines were choosing their pilots rather than the other way around. Crawford flew what the program classified as organic technology interfaces, craft that seemed to blur the line between machine and living organism. The hull material felt warm to the touch and would actually pulse with a rhythm similar to a heartbeat. During flight, I could feel the craft's systems integrating with my own bioelectric field. My heart rate would synchronize with the machine's energy patterns. My breathing would adjust to match some internal rhythm of the ship itself. The most disturbing accounts come from pilots who flew what they called the visitor's original equipment. These were allegedly unmodified craft recovered from crash sites, maintained in their original configuration for evaluation purposes. Flying their technology unmodified was like trying to operate equipment designed for a completely different species, explained Captain David Morgan, who participated in the program from 1979 to 1985. The seats were too small, the controls were positioned for hands with longer fingers, and the sensory interfaces seemed designed for beings with different neural patterns than humans. Morgan described craft that would activate before he touched any controls, systems that would engage based on his proximity rather than manual input. The moment I approached the pilot area, the craft would power up. Lights would appear along the walls, not electric bulbs, but some kind of illumination that seemed to emanate from the material itself. The ship knew I was there before I knew it myself. Several pilots reported experiencing what they called information downloads during flight. The craft would suddenly flood my mind with technical data, recalled Colonel Peterson, not in words or images, but as pure understanding. I'd know things about the ship's capabilities that hadn't been in any briefing. I'd understand flight patterns and maneuvers that no human had taught me. It was as if the machine was educating me directly. The program expanded significantly in the 1980s, according to pilot testimonies. Multiple craft were flown simultaneously in formation exercises that tested the limits of their coordination capabilities. We discovered the ships could communicate with each other, explained Captain Mitchell, not through radio or any electronic system we could identify. They seemed to share information instantaneously across any distance. During formation flights, all craft would maneuver as a single entity, each pilot receiving flight plans that complemented the others perfectly. Some pilots described missions that took them far beyond the boundaries of Area 51's restricted airspace. We flew reconnaissance missions to locations that weren't on any map I'd ever seen, revealed Major Hayes. The craft could travel distances that should have taken hours in a matter of minutes. We'd depart from Groom Lake and arrive at coordinates that seemed to be in entirely different geographical regions. The physical effects on pilots were closely monitored by base medical personnel. Many reported enhanced spatial awareness, improved reaction times, and what psychologists classified as expanded consciousness parameters that persisted long after their flight assignments ended. After 6 months flying FTE missions, I could navigate by instinct alone, explained Crawford. I'd know magnetic north without a compass, estimate altitude within 10 feet without instruments, and sense weather changes hours before they occurred. The craft weren't just vehicles. They were teaching tools that enhanced human capabilities. The program's most classified element involved what pilots called deep space evaluation missions. According to several accounts, certain craft were capable of operations far beyond Earth's atmosphere. I participated in 3 missions that took us beyond the moon, claimed Colonel Peterson in his final interview. The craft created its own atmospheric envelope, maintaining pressure and breathable air regardless of external conditions. We visited locations that official space programs won't reach for decades. As the original FTE pilots aged and retired, many struggled with the burden of their experiences. The technology they'd interfaced with was so far advanced that returning to conventional aircraft felt like stepping backward through centuries of aviation development. Flying normal jets after FTE missions was like trying to drive a horse and buggy after experiencing a Formula One race car. Concluded Captain Mitchell. We'd touched the future of flight, and then we had to pretend it didn't exist. Some of us never really came back down to Earth. The test pilots who flew what shouldn't fly carried their secrets longer than any other group at Area 51. But their testimonies, given in retirement and sometimes on deathbeds, reveal the most direct human contact with technology that challenged our understanding of physics, consciousness, and humanity's place in the cosmos. Chapter 3: The Radar Operators Who Tracked the Impossible. Sergeant First Class Daniel Rodriguez thought he understood radar. After 12 years operating tracking systems for the Air Force, he could identify aircraft by their signature patterns, distinguish between friendly and hostile contacts, and track multiple targets across hundreds of miles of airspace. Then he was assigned to Area 51 in 1978, and everything he thought he knew about aerial surveillance became meaningless. My first week at Groom Lake, I was running routine perimeter sweeps when something appeared on my scope that shouldn't have existed, Rodriguez explained in a 2006 interview. The contact materialized instantaneously at the edge of our detection range, not flying in from outside, not descending from altitude, just suddenly there, like someone had flipped a switch. The object Rodriguez tracked that night moved in ways that violated every principle of aviation physics. It accelerated from 0 to Mach 5 in under 3 seconds. Then it stopped. Not slowed down, not decelerated, stopped, dead still in midair for 47 minutes. Then it shot straight up at a velocity that should have torn apart any known aircraft. Rodriguez was part of a specialized radar team assigned to monitor what the base classified as anomalous aerial phenomena. Their equipment was more sophisticated than standard military radar, capable of tracking objects at extreme ranges and detecting signatures that conventional systems would miss. We had 3 different radar types running simultaneously, explained Chief Petty Officer Maria Santos, who operated detection systems from 1981 to 1989, standard pulse radar, phased array systems, and something they called quantum signature detection. The quantum gear could track objects that didn't reflect radio waves in normal patterns. Santos described contacts that appeared to phase in and out of detectability. We'd track an object for 10 minutes, getting clear readings on speed, altitude, and heading. Then it would vanish from all 3 systems simultaneously. not flying away, not changing course, just gone. 5 minutes later, it would reappear somewhere completely different, sometimes hundreds of miles from its last known position. The radar operators developed their own classification system for the anomalous contacts. Type 1 objects moved at conventional speeds, but followed impossible flight paths. Type 2 contacts displayed extreme velocity and acceleration beyond known aircraft capabilities. Type 3 objects were the most disturbing. They seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time. Type 3 contacts would show up on our scopes as multiple objects in different locations simultaneously. Revealed Technical Sergeant Robert Kim, who worked radar operations from 1975 to 1987. We'd track the same signature at 3 different altitudes and coordinates at the exact same time. According to our equipment, one object was somehow occupying multiple positions in space. Kim's most unsettling encounter occurred during a routine midnight shift in 1983. I detected a formation of 7 objects approaching from the southwest. They maintained perfect spacing, moving at Mach 2.7. As they reached our airspace, they arranged themselves in a precise geometric pattern and began rotating around a central point while maintaining their formation speed. No known aircraft could perform such maneuvers. The psychological pressure on radar operators was intense. They were trained to trust their equipment, but their screens regularly displayed impossible readings. Standard operating procedure required them to log every contact, but certain shifts came with special orders. On designated black nights, we were told to observe but not record, explained Santos. We'd track objects for hours, watching them perform maneuvers that defied physics, but our logs would remain empty. The next morning, we'd report for duty as if nothing had happened. Master Sergeant James Wilson operated the base's most advanced tracking system, a prototype network that combined multiple radar types with electromagnetic field detection and gravitational anomaly sensors. His accounts reveal the most detailed picture of anomalous object behavior. The advanced system could detect objects that were invisible to standard radar, Wilson explained in his posthumously published memoir. We tracked craft that seemed to bend space around themselves, creating localized distortions in gravity fields. These objects moved through the air without displacing it, like submarines traveling through water. Wilson described objects that appeared to operate on principles beyond human understanding. Some contacts would divide into multiple smaller objects, then recombine into a single craft. Others would suddenly expand in size, growing from the radar signature of a small aircraft to something the size of a passenger jet. The most disturbing were contacts that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The operators reported objects that appeared to anticipate their surveillance attempts. Certain contacts would alter their behavior the moment we focused our tracking systems on them. Revealed Rodriguez, they'd change course, adjust altitude, or alter their electromagnetic signature as if they knew we were watching. It was like they were aware of our radar beams. Shift Supervisor Colonel Patricia Hayes oversaw radar operations from 1979 to 1991. Her testimony reveals the broader patterns of anomalous activity over Groom Lake. Activity levels varied significantly based on lunar cycles, solar activity, and atmospheric conditions, Hayes explained. During certain periods, we'd track dozens of anomalous objects nightly. Other times, weeks would pass with no unusual contacts. The patterns suggested intelligence behind the appearances. Hayes described a sophisticated tracking protocol. for what operators called visitor craft. These objects displayed consistent behavioral patterns that differed from experimental military aircraft. Visitor craft moved with purpose and intelligence. They'd approach specific areas of the base, hover over particular facilities, then depart along routes that suggested familiarity with our airspace. Military test flights followed predictable patterns. These objects operated according to their own agenda. The radar operators developed techniques for distinguishing between human-made experimental aircraft and anomalous objects. Our test flights always originated from known locations and followed flight plans that made sense within the laws of physics. Explained Kim, anomalous contacts would appear from nowhere, perform impossible maneuvers, then vanish without trace. Several operators reported tracking objects that seemed to emerge from underground locations. We'd detect contacts rising vertically from points within the base perimeter where no aircraft facilities were visible, revealed Wilson. These objects would ascend through solid rock and earth as if the material didn't exist. The most classified aspect of their work involved what operators called communication attempts. Some anomalous objects appeared to respond to specific radar frequencies by altering their electromagnetic emissions. During certain encounters, objects would pulse their energy signatures in patterns that seemed deliberately structured, explained Santos. The pulses weren't random. They followed mathematical sequences that suggested intentional communication. When we attempted to respond using similar patterns, the objects would adjust their emissions accordingly. Night shift operator Staff Sergeant David Chen described tracking objects that appeared to monitor base activities. Some contacts would maintain position above specific facilities for hours, moving only when activity levels changed on the ground. They seemed to be observing our operations with the same intensity that we were observing them. The radar operators often worked in coordination with other base personnel who reported visual confirmations of tracked objects. When radar detected anomalous contacts, security teams would report seeing lights or objects that matched our tracking data, revealed Hayes. The correlation between radar contacts and visual sightings confirmed that we weren't tracking equipment malfunctions. Advanced systems detected objects that appeared to utilize technology beyond current human capability. Some contacts generated electromagnetic fields so intense they interfered with our equipment from distances of several miles. Explained Wilson. Others seemed to manipulate gravitational fields, creating detectable distortions in space-time around their position. The operators describe objects that could apparently become invisible to detection at will. Certain contacts would fade gradually from our screens while remaining in the same position. Revealed Rodriguez, we could track the same object on multiple systems, then watch it systematically disappear from each radar type in sequence. As radar technology advanced throughout the 1980s and 90s, anomalous objects seemed to adapt their signatures accordingly. Whenever we upgraded our detection capabilities, the objects would modify their electromagnetic profiles within weeks. Explained Chen. It was as if they were studying our technology and adjusting their systems to maintain a level of detectability that served their purposes. The psychological toll on operators was significant. Many described feeling like participants in a surveillance program where they were simultaneously the observers and the observed. After years of tracking objects that operated beyond known physics, returning to civilian radar work felt primitive, concluded Santos. We'd monitored craft that could manipulate space and time, then had to pretend that conventional aircraft represented the pinnacle of flight technology. The radar operators who tracked the impossible carried detailed logs that were immediately classified upon completion of their shifts. Their testimonies, given decades later, reveal a consistent pattern of anomalous activity above Area 51 that suggests organized intelligence behind phenomena that conventional science cannot yet explain. Chapter 4: Security Personnel Break Their Silence. Staff Sergeant Michael Torres never expected to spend 3 years guarding something he wasn't allowed to see. When he arrived at Area 51 in 1984, his orders were simple: protect Hangar 7 from unauthorized access. What those orders didn't include was any explanation of what lay inside the building he was sworn to defend with his life. They stationed me at a post where I could see the hangar entrance, but not the interior, Torres explained in a 2009 interview. For 36 months, I watched trucks arrive at all hours, carrying cargo under heavy tarps. The shapes underneath those covers weren't right, too smooth, too curved. Nothing like the aircraft parts I'd seen during my previous assignments. Torres was part of a specialized security unit known internally as the Black Guard, personnel selected for psychological stability and absolute discretion. Their clearance levels were deliberately limited to prevent them from understanding the full scope of what they protected. We knew just enough to do our jobs and not one detail more, explained Master Sergeant Linda Hayes, who served with the Black Guard from 1979 to 1988. They told us we were protecting experimental aircraft, but experimental aircraft don't require the level of security we provided. We had perimeters within perimeters, zones that even we couldn't enter without specific authorization. Hayes described a security protocol unlike anything in standard military procedure. Guards were assigned to specific sectors and forbidden from discussing their observations with personnel from other areas. Even during shift changes, we weren't allowed to brief our replacements on what we'd seen. Each guard discovered their post's peculiarities independently. The psychological pressure of guarding unknown secrets took its toll on many personnel. You'd stand watch for 8 hours, seeing things that didn't make sense, and you couldn't ask questions. Revealed Corporal David Kim, who served security duty from 1986 to 1991. Trucks would disappear into underground entrances that weren't supposed to exist. Personnel would enter facilities and emerge hours later looking shaken, confused, sometimes traumatized. Kim's most disturbing assignment involved guarding what base personnel called the deep storage area. My post was at an elevator entrance that descended much farther than any building on the surface would suggest. The elevator would run for nearly 5 minutes going down. Sometimes I'd feel vibrations through the floor, like heavy machinery operating far below. Security personnel describe a complex network of underground facilities connected by tunnels and freight elevators. These subterranean levels required different clearance credentials and specialized escorts for anyone granted access. The underground areas had their own security protocols, explained Sergeant First Class Robert Chen, who worked both surface and subsurface assignments. Different uniforms, different ID badges, different chain of command. It was like guarding 2 separate facilities that happened to share the same geographic location. Chen's underground assignments brought him into contact with objects that challenged his understanding of military equipment. I was stationed outside what they called Technical Analysis Bay 12. Through security windows, I could see something under examination that looked like a metallic egg about the size of a small car. The surface was perfectly smooth, no seams, no openings. but every few hours it would glow from within, pulsing with soft blue light. The compartmentalization extended to the security personnel themselves. Guards assigned to different areas rarely interacted, and those who worked underground were transported separately from surface security teams. We were divided into color-coded clearance levels, revealed Hayes. Black badges for surface perimeter, red badges for hangar security, blue badges for underground access. I worked there for 9 years and never met a blue badge guard until my final month, when I was temporarily reassigned. That temporary reassignment exposed Hayes to aspects of Area 51 that fundamentally changed her understanding of her service. I was escorted to Sub-Level 7 to guard a corridor during a personnel transfer. The walls down there weren't concrete like normal underground facilities. They were some kind of metal that seemed to absorb sound completely. When I spoke, my voice wouldn't echo at all. Security personnel frequently reported equipment malfunctions in certain areas of the base. Electronic devices would fail randomly, radio communications would become garbled, and even simple mechanical equipment would operate erratically. My watch stopped working on my first day in the deep storage area, explained Kim. Not just running slow or fast, stopped completely. The maintenance tech said it was electromagnetic interference, but they couldn't explain why it only affected certain areas of the base. The guards describe witnessing personnel who appeared to be civilian scientists or contractors, individuals who didn't fit standard military profiles. These civilians often carried specialized equipment and seemed to have unlimited access to restricted areas. I'd see the same group of civilians every few weeks, revealed Chen. They wore protective suits and carried instruments I'd never seen before. They'd spend hours in the technical analysis bays, then emerge looking either excited or terrified, sometimes both. Many security personnel reported feeling physically uncomfortable in certain areas of the base. Some zones just felt wrong, explained Torres. The air would seem thicker, or you'd feel a constant low-level vibration that you couldn't quite hear. A few guards requested transfers because they couldn't handle the sensation. The most classified security assignments involved what personnel called active containment duty. These guards were responsible for facilities that housed objects requiring constant monitoring. Active containment meant guarding something that wasn't just stored but was somehow alive or active, revealed Hayes in her most detailed interview. The briefing was minimal. Watch the monitors, report any changes in readings, and under no circumstances enter the containment area without a full hazmat team. Hayes described readings that fluctuated without apparent cause, as if the contained objects were responding to external stimuli. The electromagnetic sensors would spike randomly. Temperature readings would shift by 20 degrees in seconds. Sometimes the motion detectors would trigger even though the containment chamber was sealed. Security rotations were deliberately short to prevent guards from becoming too familiar with their assignments. Maximum tour was 6 months in any single area, explained Kim. They said it was for psychological health, but I think they were worried about guards putting together too much information. The guards developed their own informal communication network, sharing observations despite official prohibitions. We'd find ways to compare notes, admitted Chen. Gradually, we pieced together a picture of what we were really protecting. It wasn't just experimental aircraft. Some of the objects weren't built by humans. Night shifts brought the most unusual activity. Many guards reported increased movement of personnel and equipment during overnight hours when fewer witnesses were present. After midnight, the base would transform, described Torres. Facilities that seemed dormant during the day would become active. I'd see lights in buildings that were supposedly empty, hear sounds from underground areas that weren't supposed to have any operations. The psychological evaluation process for security personnel was more intensive than standard military screening. Guards underwent regular mental health assessments and were monitored for signs of stress or instability. They were worried about guards breaking under the pressure of what they saw, explained Hayes. Some couldn't handle the uncertainty. A few had nervous breakdowns. Others became obsessed with understanding what they were protecting. Security personnel who completed their assignments were required to sign additional non-disclosure agreements before leaving Area 51. The paperwork was extensive, revealed Kim. We signed documents promising never to discuss our duties, even with immediate family members. The penalty for violation was severe enough to keep most guards silent for decades. Many guards described feeling like unwitting participants in something beyond their comprehension. We were protecting secrets that were bigger than military aircraft development, concluded Chen. The level of security, the underground facilities, the strange objects and personnel, it all pointed to something that challenged our understanding of technology and maybe even reality itself. The security personnel who guarded Area 51's deepest secrets carried the psychological burden of protecting something they couldn't understand. Their testimonies, given years after their service, reveal a base where human technology mixed with something far more advanced, creating a need for security measures that went beyond protecting military secrets to concealing contact with intelligence from beyond our world. Chapter 5. Scientists reveal the analysis programs. Dr. Elena Vasquez thought she understood the limits of material science until she was recruited for Project Looking Glass in 1981. With 2 decades of experience analyzing advanced alloys for NASA, she believed she'd encountered every unusual metal composition possible. Her first day at Area 51's underground research complex proved that assumption catastrophically wrong. They handed me a sample no larger than a quarter and asked me to determine its composition, Vasquez explained in her 2007 memoir. Standard spectroscopic analysis revealed elements that weren't on the periodic table. When I questioned the results, my supervisor simply said, "Welcome to materials that didn't originate on Earth." The sample Vasquez analyzed displayed properties that violated fundamental principles of physics. The metal was lighter than aluminum, but demonstrated tensile strength exceeding that of diamond. When subjected to extreme heat, it would absorb the energy without increasing in temperature. Most disturbing of all, the material seemed to remember its original shape. No matter how we deformed it, the sample would gradually return to its initial configuration. Dr. Marcus Chen joined the Foreign Technology Analysis Division in 1977, specializing in what the program classified as unconventional propulsion systems. His background in theoretical physics prepared him for advanced concepts, but not for technology that operated outside known scientific laws. My first assignment involved examining a propulsion unit recovered from what they called a foreign craft, Chen recalled in a posthumously published interview. The device had no moving parts, no fuel injection system, no exhaust mechanism, yet somehow it generated a localized gravitational field that could be adjusted from 0 to several times Earth's gravity. Chen's team spent 3 years attempting to understand the propulsion technology. The unit manipulated space-time itself, creating a bubble of distorted reality around the craft. Inside this bubble, the normal laws of physics were suspended. The craft didn't move through space so much as it convinced space to move around it. The Foreign Technology Analysis Division operated in complete isolation from other Area 51 programs. Scientists were compartmentalized into specialized teams, each focusing on specific aspects of recovered technology without understanding how their research connected to the broader picture. I worked on energy systems for 4 years, explained Dr. Sarah Mitchell, who joined the program in 1983. My lab examined power sources that generated enormous amounts of energy from materials I couldn't identify. These weren't nuclear reactors or chemical batteries. They seemed to tap into fundamental forces of the universe itself. Mitchell described energy devices that operated on principles beyond human comprehension. One unit, no larger than a coffee can, produced enough power to light a small city. It had no fuel, no moving parts, no waste products. The energy output was constant and apparently limitless. When we tried to reverse engineer the technology, our attempts failed spectacularly. The psychological pressure on scientists was intense. They were analyzing technology that challenged everything they'd learned about physics, chemistry, and engineering. Many researchers struggled to reconcile their observations with established scientific principles. We were asked to study materials that shouldn't exist according to our understanding of atomic structure, revealed Dr. Robert Hayes, who led the exotic materials team from 1979 to 1989. Elements with atomic numbers higher than anything we'd synthesized, arranged in crystalline patterns that defied known chemistry. Some samples contained isotopes that were stable despite theoretical predictions of immediate decay. Hayes described materials with properties that seemed almost magical. We had metal sheets that could become transparent at will, alloys that conducted electricity in one direction but not the other, and substances that changed their molecular structure in response to electromagnetic fields. One sample appeared to be alive, growing slowly over several months despite being inorganic. The analysis programs expanded significantly throughout the 1980s as more recovered technology arrived at the facility. Scientists were organized into increasingly specialized teams, each focused on narrow aspects of the foreign technology. By 1985, we had separate divisions for hull analysis, propulsion systems, control interfaces, energy sources, and what we called biological integration technology, explained Dr. Janet Foster, who coordinated research teams from 1984 to 1992. Each division operated independently, sharing data only through carefully controlled interdisciplinary meetings. Foster described technology that blurred the lines between mechanical and biological systems. Some components seemed to be part machine, part living organism. They would respond to electrical stimuli like nervous tissue, but they were clearly manufactured rather than grown. We called them biomechanical hybrids, though that term barely captured their complexity. The most disturbing discoveries involved materials that appeared to be conscious. Certain samples would react to the presence of researchers, revealed Dr. Chen. When we approached with testing equipment, the materials would alter their properties. It was as if they were aware of our intentions and actively resisting analysis. Advanced testing procedures were developed specifically for the foreign technology. Standard laboratory equipment was inadequate, explained Dr. Vasquez. We had to design new instruments capable of measuring properties that conventional science said were impossible. Gravitational field detectors, time distortion sensors, consciousness matter interaction monitors. Several scientists reported experiencing what they called information transfer while working with certain materials. Some samples seem to communicate directly with researchers through unknown mechanisms, admitted Dr. Mitchell. I touch a component and suddenly understand its function, its operating principles, even its origins. The knowledge appeared in my mind, fully formed, without conscious learning. The research programs operated under extreme security protocols. All work was classified above top secret, explained Dr. Hayes. We couldn't publish papers, attend conferences, or discuss our discoveries with colleagues outside the program. The isolation was psychologically devastating for researchers accustomed to academic collaboration. Scientists were required to undergo regular psychological evaluations to assess their mental stability while working with incomprehensible technology. The stress of analyzing materials that violated natural laws took its toll, revealed Dr. Foster. Some researchers experienced nervous breakdowns. Others became obsessed with understanding the technology, working 18-hour days trying to crack problems that might not have solutions. Breakthrough moments came rarely and were often accidental. Our greatest advances occurred when we stopped trying to apply human scientific principles and instead attempted to understand the foreign technology on its own terms, explained Dr. Chen. These systems operated according to different physical laws, possibly originating in regions of space where reality itself functioned differently. The scientists described technology that suggested its creators possessed understanding of physics far beyond human knowledge. We found evidence that they could manipulate fundamental forces we can barely detect, revealed Dr. Vasquez. Gravitational fields, electromagnetic spectra, quantum mechanical properties, even the flow of time itself. Their technology wasn't just advanced, it was transcendent. Some research focused on attempting to interface human technology with the foreign systems. We developed hybrid devices that combined our electronics with their materials, explained Dr. Mitchell. The results were promising but unstable. Our crude technology couldn't integrate smoothly with theirs. The analysis programs revealed that different recovered technologies appeared to come from multiple sources. We were studying materials from at least 3 distinct technological traditions, noted Dr. Hayes. Each had different approaches to solving similar problems. It suggested contact with multiple extraterrestrial civilizations. Long-term exposure to certain materials produced unexpected effects in research personnel. Scientists working with specific samples developed enhanced spatial reasoning, improved mathematical intuition, and expanded memory capacity, revealed Dr. Foster. The materials seemed to be upgrading human cognitive abilities through unknown mechanisms. As the original research teams retired, they carried frustration along with their secrets. Decades of study had revealed tantalizing glimpses of advanced technology without achieving true understanding. We mapped the surface of an ocean of knowledge, concluded Dr. Chen in his final interview. The foreign technology represented scientific advancement centuries or millennia beyond human achievement. Our analysis programs scratched the surface of understanding systems that could revolutionize human civilization. The scientists who analyzed impossible technology at Area 51 spent their careers studying materials that challenged the foundations of human knowledge. Their testimonies reveal research programs that uncovered evidence of intelligence far beyond terrestrial science, leaving questions that human researchers are still struggling to answer decades later. Chapter 6. The Mechanics Who Maintained the Unmaintainable. Chief Master Sergeant Tony Castellanos, had serviced every type of aircraft in the Air Force inventory when he received orders to report to Area 51 in 1976. With 22 years of experience maintaining everything from cargo transports to experimental fighters, he thought he'd encountered every maintenance challenge aviation could present. His first assignment at Groom Lake's Special Projects hangar proved him catastrophically wrong. They wheeled out something under a tarp and told me it needed a routine inspection, Castellanos explained in his 2012 interview. When they pulled back the covering, I was looking at a craft that had no access panels, no maintenance hatches, no visible components that could be serviced. The hull was seamless, like it had been cast in a single piece. The craft Castellanos was assigned to maintain defied every principle of aircraft construction he'd learned. There were no bolts, no rivets, no welds. The surface was perfectly smooth, except for areas that would become transparent when touched. I spent my first week just trying to figure out how to open it for inspection. Traditional maintenance tools proved useless on what base personnel called special configuration aircraft. Mechanics had to develop entirely new techniques for servicing technology that operated outside conventional engineering principles. Standard wrenches, screwdrivers, and diagnostic equipment were worthless, explained Senior Master Sergeant Maria Rodriguez, who joined the maintenance team in 1979. We had to learn to work with materials that responded to touch, temperature, and somehow even in tension. Some panels would only open for specific individuals. Rodriguez described maintenance procedures that seemed more like communication than mechanical work. Certain components would only function after establishing what we called interface compatibility. You'd place your hands on specific areas of the hull and wait for the craft to recognize you. Sometimes it would take minutes. Other times the craft never accepted a particular mechanic. The maintenance teams were divided into specialized units, each focused on different aspects of the anomalous aircraft. No single mechanic was allowed to understand the complete maintenance picture. I worked exclusively on what they called propulsion interface systems, revealed Technical Sergeant Robert Kim, who served from 1981 to 1987. My job was maintaining components that generated the craft's motive force, but these weren't engines in any conventional sense. They were geometric shapes that somehow manipulated gravitational fields. Kim described propulsion systems that required no fuel, produced no exhaust, and operated silently. The components were crystalline structures arranged in precise mathematical patterns. Maintenance involved ensuring the crystals remained properly aligned and the geometric relationships stayed exact. If the configuration shifted even slightly, the craft would lose its ability to generate lift. The most disturbing aspect of maintenance work involved components that appeared to be self-repairing. Certain systems would heal themselves overnight, explained Staff Sergeant David Chen, who worked on the teams from 1978 to 1985. We'd identify damaged sections, mark them for repair, and return the next morning to find the damage had vanished. The craft was somehow restoring itself. Chen's specialty was what the maintenance teams called biological integration systems. Some components weren't entirely mechanical. They had characteristics of living tissue combined with advanced technology. These biomechanical elements required different maintenance protocols, more like medical care than traditional mechanical service. The tools developed for maintaining special configuration aircraft bore little resemblance to standard aviation equipment. We used sonic resonators to adjust component frequencies, electromagnetic field manipulators to align energy systems, and what we called consciousness interfaces to communicate with the craft's control systems, described Master Sergeant Jennifer Hayes, who led maintenance teams from 1983 to 1991. Hayes supervised the development of maintenance protocols that acknowledged the craft's apparent intelligence. These vehicles weren't just machines. They demonstrated awareness, memory, and what could only be called preferences. Some would only allow specific maintenance procedures during certain times of day. Others would actively resist work they deemed unnecessary. Maintenance schedules for special configuration aircraft followed patterns unlike any conventional aircraft servicing. Traditional preventive maintenance was irrelevant, explained Rodriguez. These craft didn't wear out in normal ways. Instead, they would enter dormant states for weeks, then suddenly require intensive attention to specific systems. The psychological pressure on maintenance personnel was severe. We were working on technology that challenged our understanding of how machines operate, revealed Kim. Components that thought, materials that healed, systems that operated on principles we couldn't comprehend. Some mechanics couldn't handle the cognitive dissonance. Advanced diagnostic equipment was developed specifically for anomalous aircraft maintenance. Standard troubleshooting procedures didn't apply, explained Chen. We used consciousness matter interaction detectors, quantum field stability monitors, and biomechanical integration analyzers. The equipment was as mysterious as the craft we serviced. Maintenance teams reported that different aircraft had distinct personalities. Each craft responded differently to service procedures, described Hayes. Some were cooperative, allowing access to all systems and accepting maintenance readily. Others were protective, limiting access to critical components and resisting certain types of work. The most classified maintenance involved what teams called active response systems. Certain components would react to external stimuli in real time, revealed Castellanos. Maintenance required understanding not just how the systems worked, but how they thought. We developed protocols for communicating our intentions to the craft before beginning any service. Long-term exposure to the anomalous aircraft produced unexpected effects on maintenance personnel. Mechanics working on these craft for extended periods developed enhanced spatial reasoning and intuitive understanding of complex systems, explained Rodriguez. Some could diagnose problems by touch alone, sensing malfunctions in ways that shouldn't be possible. The craft's self-maintenance capabilities appeared to improve over time. Early aircraft required significant human intervention, noted Kim. Later vehicles seemed to learn from maintenance procedures, developing increasingly sophisticated self-repair capabilities. Eventually, some craft required almost no conventional maintenance at all. Maintenance teams worked closely with scientists and engineers, but information sharing was strictly controlled. We could report problems and receive solutions, but we weren't told how the fixes worked. Explained Chen. The separation between maintenance, analysis, and design teams prevented any single group from understanding the complete picture. Safety protocols for maintaining special configuration aircraft were extensive. Certain components generated fields that could affect human consciousness, revealed Hayes. Mechanics had to wear monitoring equipment to detect exposure levels. Extended contact with some systems could cause disorientation, memory loss, or altered perception. Mechanics had to wear monitoring. The tools required for maintenance were often as mysterious as the craft themselves. Some instruments seemed to operate by principles we didn't understand, described Castellanos. Diagnostic devices that read the craft's thoughts, calibration tools that adjusted reality fields, and repair equipment that worked by manipulating quantum states. Emergency maintenance procedures were particularly challenging. When critical systems failed, standard backup procedures didn't exist, explained Rodriguez. We had to learn to interface directly with the craft's consciousness, convincing it to activate dormant systems or accept temporary fixes. Training new maintenance personnel required completely redefining aircraft servicing concepts. We had to teach mechanics to think like technicians, psychologists, and sometimes physicians, noted Kim. Maintaining these craft required understanding technology, biology, and consciousness simultaneously. The maintenance teams developed deep respect for the intelligence behind the craft's design. Whoever built these vehicles understood engineering principles centuries ahead of human knowledge. Concluded Chen, every component served multiple functions, every system integrated seamlessly with others, and the overall design represented perfection in ways we're still trying to comprehend. Retirement brought mixed emotions for maintenance personnel. We'd worked on technology that represented the future of aerospace engineering, reflected Hayes. Returning to conventional aircraft felt like stepping backward through decades of technological development. The mechanics who maintained the unmaintainable spent their careers servicing craft that challenged every assumption about how machines operate. Their testimonies reveal maintenance procedures that blurred the lines between technology and consciousness, suggesting that advanced engineering might require not just technical skill, but the ability to communicate with intelligence embedded in the machines themselves. Chapter 7. Intelligence officers reveal the cover-up operations. Colonel William Mack Henderson spent 32 years crafting lies for the United States government. As Deputy Director of the Air Force Office of Special Investigations Disinformation Division, his job was to ensure that America's most sensitive military programs remained hidden from foreign adversaries and domestic curiosity alike. But it wasn't until his assignment to Area 51 in 1973 that Henderson realized the full scope of what intelligence agencies were concealing from the world. The UFO phenomenon was simultaneously our greatest asset and our most dangerous liability, Henderson explained in a restricted 2009 interview. Public fascination with flying saucers provided perfect cover for our experimental aircraft programs. But genuine, anomalous activity at Groom Lake threatened to expose technology that went far beyond anything in our aerospace inventory. Henderson's team pioneered what became known as the double-layer strategy, using real UFO sightings to hide classified military programs while simultaneously using fake military explanations to conceal authentic extraterrestrial contact. The complexity of managing multiple levels of deception required unprecedented coordination between intelligence agencies. We had 3 categories of incidents to manage, revealed CIA operative Janet Morrison, who worked psychological operations from 1976 to 1988. Conventional aircraft tests that looked unusual, genuine alien craft that needed explaining away, and completely fabricated sightings designed to muddy the waters. Each required different disinformation approaches. Morrison described a sophisticated network of assets within UFO research communities. Intelligence agencies planted operatives among civilian investigators, feeding them carefully crafted stories that served government interests while appearing to expose classified programs. We recruited true believers and turned them into unwitting disinformation agents, Morrison admitted. UFO researchers thought they were investigating government cover-ups, but they were actually spreading the exact stories we wanted circulated. Their passion for the truth made them perfect vehicles for controlled lies. The intelligence community's relationship with UFO researchers was carefully managed through what operatives called controlled disclosure protocols. Genuine leaks were mixed with fabricated information to ensure that real revelations could be discredited by association with obvious falsehoods. Bob Lazar was the perfect example of controlled disclosure gone wrong, explained NSA analyst Robert Chen, who monitored information security from 1985 to 1994. His story contained enough genuine details to be credible, but enough questionable elements to ensure it would be dismissed by mainstream science. The problem was that some of his claims were more accurate than we anticipated. Chen's team developed psychological profiles of UFO researchers to predict how they would respond to planted information. We studied their cognitive biases, their social networks, and their information sharing patterns. By understanding how UFO communities processed information, we could craft disinformation that would spread naturally through their networks. The most challenging aspect of the cover-up involved managing incidents where multiple witnesses observed genuine anomalous craft. When civilian observers saw something that was clearly not human technology, we had to implement immediate damage control, revealed Air Force Intelligence Officer Margaret Stevens, who coordinated response teams from 1978 to 1987. Stevens described rapid deployment teams that would arrive at sighting locations within hours. We'd interview witnesses, collect physical evidence, and begin planting alternative explanations in local media. The goal was to create multiple competing narratives so that no single version of events could gain credibility. Weather balloons, experimental aircraft, atmospheric phenomena, and mass hallucinations became standard explanations for sightings that threatened operational security. We maintained a catalogue of plausible conventional explanations for every type of anomalous observation, explained Stevens. The key was matching the cover story to the specific details witnesses reported. The intelligence community's most sensitive operation involved what they called source protection protocols. These procedures were designed to prevent genuine alien technology from being exposed while maintaining the fiction that all UFO activity was either experimental aircraft or imagination. We had to protect our actual extraterrestrial assets while managing public perception, revealed Henderson. The alien craft at Area 51 were too valuable to risk exposure. Every disinformation campaign was ultimately designed to draw attention away from the real program. Technology transfer from recovered alien craft to human aerospace programs created additional security challenges. When our conventional aircraft began incorporating alien-derived technology, we had to explain their advanced capabilities without revealing their true origins, explained Morrison. Stealth technology, advanced propulsion systems, and exotic materials all required cover stories. The intelligence agencies developed what they called the incremental revelation strategy. Advanced human technology was gradually disclosed to the public in ways that made dramatic capabilities seem like natural technological evolution rather than revolutionary breakthroughs. We'd leak information about experimental programs that were actually based on reverse-engineered alien technology, admitted Chen. The public would see demonstrations of advanced aircraft and assume they were the result of normal human innovation. They never suspected that some breakthroughs came from studying crashed extraterrestrial vehicles. Managing international intelligence concerns added another layer of complexity to cover-up operations. Foreign governments were also investigating UFO phenomena and developing their own theories about American capabilities, revealed Stevens. We had to craft disinformation that would mislead adversaries while maintaining credibility with allies. The psychological pressure on intelligence personnel was severe. We were lying about the most significant discovery in human history, explained Henderson. Many operatives struggled with the ethical implications of concealing evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence from the global scientific community. Long-term psychological studies were conducted on intelligence personnel to assess the effects of maintaining such extensive deception. The compartmentalization required to manage multiple levels of false information took its toll, admitted Morrison. Some operatives developed paranoid tendencies, unable to distinguish between operational deception and personal reality. The most classified aspect of cover-up operations involved what intelligence agencies called active alien liaison management. We weren't just studying recovered technology, revealed Chen in his most sensitive disclosure. We were managing ongoing contact with extraterrestrial entities. The cover-up extended to concealing active diplomatic relationships with alien civilizations. This revelation added new dimensions to disinformation requirements. We had to hide not just crashed vehicles and recovered materials, but evidence of continuing alien presence on Earth, explained Stevens. Some UFO sightings weren't experimental aircraft or recovered craft. They were diplomatic missions from civilizations that had established formal contact with human governments. Public opinion research guided the development of disinformation strategies. We studied how different segments of the population responded to UFO-related information, described Henderson. Religious communities, scientific establishments, and military personnel all required different approaches to manage their reactions to anomalous phenomena. The intelligence community's greatest success was convincing the public that government UFO secrecy was about hiding experimental aircraft rather than concealing alien contact. People assumed we were protecting technological advantages over foreign adversaries, explained Morrison. They never considered that we might be protecting humanity from discovering its place in a larger galactic community. Media manipulation became increasingly sophisticated throughout the 1980s and 90s. We developed relationships with entertainment industry contacts to influence how alien contact was portrayed in popular culture, revealed Chen. Science fiction films and television shows helped shape public expectations about extraterrestrial encounters. The end of the Cold War created new challenges for cover-up operations. Without the Soviet threat to justify extreme secrecy, we had to develop new rationales for concealing alien contact, admitted Stevens. Terrorism, economic disruption, and social instability became our new justifications for maintaining the cover-up. Retirement brought relief, but also frustration for many intelligence operatives. We'd spent decades lying about the most important story in human history, reflected Henderson. The burden of keeping such secrets while watching public debates about the possibility of extraterrestrial life was psychologically devastating. The intelligence officers who managed Area 51's cover-up operations orchestrated one of the most complex deception campaigns in history. Their testimonies reveal a multi-generational effort to conceal not just recovered alien technology, but ongoing contact between human and extraterrestrial civilizations that continues to shape global politics and technological development in ways the public has never suspected. Chapter 8. The Doctors Who Examined What Wasn't Human. Dr. Patricia Kellerman never expected her medical career to include autopsies on beings from another world. When she was recruited to join Area 51's Biological Analysis Division in 1979, her background in forensic pathology and xenobiology made her an ideal candidate for what the military classified as foreign biological materials examination. Nothing in her training, however, had prepared her for the moment she first entered the underground medical complex beneath Groom Lake. They led me through a series of airlocks into a laboratory that looked more like a spacecraft than a medical facility, Kellerman explained in her posthumously published memoir. The examination tables were made of an unknown metal that maintained constant temperature. The lighting came from panels that produced no heat, no shadows, and seemed to adjust automatically to the requirements of whatever procedure was being performed. The first specimen Kellerman examined challenged every assumption she held about biological life. The entity was approximately 4 feet tall, humanoid in basic structure, but with proportions that suggested evolution under different environmental conditions. She recalled, the cranium was enlarged, the limbs elongated and delicate, and the skin had a texture unlike any terrestrial organism I'd studied. Dr. Marcus Webb joined the biological analysis team in 1976, specializing in what the program called comparative xenophysiology. His background in evolutionary biology provided crucial insights into the anatomical differences between human and extraterrestrial life forms. The skeletal structure was fundamentally different from any Earth-based vertebrate, Webb explained in a restricted 2001 interview. The bones were hollow, like bird bones, but demonstrated strength characteristics exceeding human skeletal limits. The joint articulation suggested these beings were adapted for low-gravity environments and possessed far greater flexibility than human anatomy allows. The medical facility's preservation technology was as mysterious as the specimens themselves. We had access to storage systems that could maintain biological integrity for indefinite periods, revealed Dr. Sarah Mitchell, who worked on the preservation team from 1981 to 1989, the containers weren't refrigerated in any conventional sense. They generated fields that seemed to suspend the decay process at the molecular level. Mitchell described preservation techniques that operated on principles beyond current medical knowledge. Specimens maintained in these systems showed no cellular degradation even after decades of storage. Some samples appeared to be in the same condition as when they were first collected, despite being decades old. The psychological impact on medical personnel was severe. Examining beings that clearly possessed intelligence comparable to or exceeding human cognitive capacity was emotionally devastating, admitted Dr. Robert Chen, who performed neurological analysis from 1978 to 1986. These weren't primitive life forms. Their brain structure suggested consciousness, memory, and cognitive abilities that challenged our understanding of intelligence itself. Chen's neurological studies revealed anatomical features that suggested extraordinary mental capabilities. The neural pathways were far more complex than human brain architecture. Certain regions appeared to be designed for processing electromagnetic information directly, as if these beings could interface with technology through thought alone. The medical team discovered that different specimens appeared to represent multiple species or evolutionary variants. We examined entities from at least 4 distinct biological lineages, explained Dr. Jennifer Hayes, who led the anatomical classification project from 1983 to 1991, Each group showed different adaptations, suggesting origins from diverse planetary environments. Hayes described specimens adapted for environments ranging from high radiation to low oxygen atmospheres. Some entities possessed redundant organ systems that would allow survival in conditions lethal to human life. Others showed evidence of genetic modification or technological enhancement that blurred the lines between natural biology and artificial augmentation. The most disturbing discoveries involved specimens that appeared to have been artificially created rather than naturally evolved. Certain entities showed characteristics of biological engineering, revealed Dr. Webb. Their organ systems were too perfectly designed, their genetic structure too precise to have developed through natural selection alone. Advanced medical equipment was developed specifically for examining extraterrestrial biology. Standard human medical instruments were inadequate, explained Kellerman. We used electromagnetic resonance scanners, quantum cellular analyzers, and consciousness matter interaction detectors to study physiological processes that operated on principles unknown to terrestrial medicine. Several medical personnel reported experiencing unusual effects while working with certain specimens. Some entities seemed to retain consciousness even after death, admitted Dr. Mitchell. Electromagnetic monitoring equipment would detect patterns suggesting mental activity in specimens that showed no vital signs by conventional measures. The preservation facilities included chambers designed for what the medical team called suspended animation research. Some specimens weren't deceased in any conventional sense, revealed Chen. They appeared to be in states of voluntary dormancy, maintaining minimal biological function while remaining responsive to specific stimuli. Medical protocols for examining extraterrestrial biology required complete revision of standard autopsy procedures. Traditional forensic pathology was useless, explained Hayes. We had to develop new techniques for studying physiological systems that operated according to different biological principles. The team discovered evidence of technological integration within biological systems. Many specimens showed signs of cybernetic enhancement, described Webb. Organic tissue interfaced seamlessly with artificial components, creating hybrid systems that were part biology, part technology. Genetic analysis revealed information that challenged understanding of life's origins. DNA analysis of extraterrestrial specimens showed structural patterns that suggested either independent evolution of genetic coding or artificial manipulation of fundamental biological processes, admitted Kellerman. The medical facility's security protocols were extraordinary. Access required multiple clearance levels, biological identification, and psychological evaluation, explained Mitchell. Personnel working with certain specimens were monitored for genetic changes, electromagnetic field fluctuations, and alterations in brainwave patterns. Long-term exposure to extraterrestrial biological materials produced unexpected effects in medical personnel. Doctors working closely with specimens developed enhanced diagnostic abilities and improved understanding of biological systems, revealed Chen. Some reported experiencing synesthetic perception, where they could see electromagnetic fields or sense biological processes directly. The most classified medical research involved attempts to understand extraterrestrial reproduction and development. Some specimens appeared to represent different life stages of the same species, explained Hayes. Others showed evidence of reproductive processes that didn't follow terrestrial biological patterns. Ethical considerations created significant moral challenges for medical personnel. We were studying beings that clearly possessed intelligence, possibly consciousness, and potentially souls. Admitted Webb, the ethical implications of our research kept many team members awake at night. The medical team collaborated closely with other research divisions, sharing information about biological-technological interfaces and consciousness-matter interactions. Our biological findings informed engineering reverse engineering projects, revealed Kellerman. Understanding how these beings interfaced with their technology helped human researchers develop similar capabilities. Emergency medical protocols were developed for incidents involving live specimens. We had procedures for providing medical care to injured extraterrestrial entities. Explained Mitchell, these protocols required understanding physiological systems that operated on completely different principles from human biology. The psychological screening process for medical personnel was intensive. Working with extraterrestrial specimens required individuals capable of maintaining scientific objectivity while processing information that challenged fundamental assumptions about life, intelligence, and humanity's place in the universe, described Chen. Training programs for new medical personnel included preparation for encountering life forms that defied conventional biological understanding. We had to teach doctors to think beyond terrestrial biology, explained Hayes. These beings represented evolution under different conditions, possibly different physical laws. Some medical procedures involved attempting to communicate with specimens that showed signs of consciousness. Certain entities appeared capable of telepathic or electromagnetic communication. Revealed Webb, medical examinations sometimes became attempts at establishing contact with alien intelligence. The retirement of original medical team members created challenges for maintaining institutional knowledge. Each doctor carried irreplaceable experience in extraterrestrial biology, concluded Kellerman. The loss of personnel who understood these unique physiological systems represented a significant setback for ongoing research. The doctors who examined what wasn't human spent their careers studying life forms that challenged every assumption about biology, consciousness, and the nature of intelligence itself. Their testimonies reveal medical research that expanded human understanding of life's possibilities while raising profound questions about humanity's relationship with intelligences that evolved among distant stars. Chapter 9: Communication Specialists and the Alien Contact Protocols. Lieutenant Colonel Susan Martinez never imagined her expertise in cryptography and linguistics would lead to humanity's first documented conversation with extraterrestrial intelligence. When she was assigned to Area 51's Communication Analysis Division in 1982, her background in breaking Soviet codes and analyzing unknown languages seemed perfectly suited for deciphering intercepted transmissions. Her real assignment, however, involved something far more extraordinary than foreign intelligence communications. They brought me to a shielded facility deep underground and showed me recordings that defied explanation, Martinez revealed in her 2007 memoir. Electromagnetic patterns that clearly contained structured information, but operated according to principles unlike any human communication system. The patterns weren't random. They demonstrated syntax, recursion, and what could only be called grammar. The Communication Analysis Division had been attempting to decode extraterrestrial transmissions since the early 1970s, when sophisticated monitoring equipment began detecting structured signals from recovered alien technology. These weren't distant radio transmissions from space, but local communications between alien devices and, occasionally, living entities. The breakthrough came when we realized the communications weren't purely electromagnetic, explained Dr. Robert Kim, who joined the linguistics team in 1979. The signals incorporated quantum field fluctuations, gravitational wave patterns, and what we eventually identified as consciousness-based information transfer. They were communicating through multiple dimensions of reality simultaneously. Kim's team developed translation protocols that required understanding communication methods beyond human experience. Traditional cryptography was useless, he admitted. We had to develop new mathematical frameworks that could process information transmitted through quantum entanglement, electromagnetic modulation, and direct consciousness interface. The first major breakthrough occurred in 1984 when communication specialists established basic contact with a recovered entity that had survived the retrieval process. The being appeared to be in a dormant state, but showed signs of consciousness when exposed to specific electromagnetic frequencies. We discovered that the entity could perceive our attempts at communication, revealed Captain Jennifer Hayes, who led the contact protocol team from 1983 to 1991. It would respond to mathematical concepts transmitted through electromagnetic pulses, demonstrating understanding of universal constants like pi and the golden ratio. Hayes described the painstaking process of developing a mathematical communication system that could bridge the gap between human and extraterrestrial consciousness. We started with basic arithmetic, progressed to geometric concepts, then gradually introduced more complex ideas. The entity's responses showed not just intelligence, but patience with our primitive communication methods. The entity's communication abilities far exceeded human technological capabilities. It could transmit information directly into our consciousness without using any physical medium, explained Major David Chen, who served as primary interface specialist from 1985 to 1992. Thoughts, images, and concepts would appear in our minds with perfect clarity, as if we were remembering information we'd always known. Chen developed protocols for protecting human consciousness during direct neural communication. Unshielded contact could be overwhelming, he warned. The entity's thought patterns operated at frequencies that could disrupt human brain function. We had to learn to interface gradually, building mental defenses against information overload. The communication teams discovered that different recovered entities possessed varying levels of consciousness and communication ability. Some specimens appeared to be in deep dormancy, responding only to specific stimuli, explained Dr. Sarah Wilson, who worked on consciousness assessment from 1986 to 1994. Others demonstrated active awareness and seemed eager to establish meaningful dialogue. Wilson's team developed consciousness evaluation protocols that could assess the mental state of non-human entities. We used electromagnetic field mapping, quantum resonance scanning, and direct neural interface monitoring to determine consciousness levels. The results suggested that these beings experienced awareness in ways fundamentally different from human consciousness. The most sensitive communication work involved what the division called active diplomatic contact. Some entities appeared to be representatives of ongoing extraterrestrial civilizations rather than crashed victims requiring rescue. We established communication with beings who claimed to represent galactic diplomatic missions, revealed Martinez in her most classified disclosure. These weren't stranded survivors. They were ambassadors attempting to establish formal contact with human governments. The diplomatic communications revealed information that challenged human understanding of Earth's place in the galaxy. We learned that multiple extraterrestrial civilizations had been monitoring human development for centuries, explained Hayes. Some were concerned about human technological advancement, others were interested in establishing trade relationships, and a few appeared to be studying human consciousness as a unique phenomenon. Translation of alien languages required developing entirely new linguistic theories. Their communication systems incorporated concepts that don't exist in human languages. Described Kim, temporal recursion, quantum probability states, and multidimensional spatial relationships were basic elements of their grammar. The communication specialists worked closely with consciousness researchers to understand how alien minds processed information. Their thought patterns operated on multiple levels simultaneously, explained Chen. They could maintain several parallel conversation threads while processing background information streams that would overwhelm human cognitive capacity. Emergency communication protocols were developed for potential crisis situations involving alien entities. We needed rapid response capabilities if communication attempts triggered aggressive reactions, revealed Wilson. Some entities showed signs of distress when exposed to human electromagnetic fields or consciousness patterns. The most breakthrough moment occurred in 1988 when communication specialists achieved full linguistic interface with an entity that had been in dormancy for over a decade. The being suddenly became fully conscious and began transmitting vast amounts of information about galactic civilization, advanced technology, and human evolutionary potential, described Martinez. This information transfer lasted several hours and required multiple specialists working in shifts to prevent consciousness overload. The entity was essentially downloading its entire knowledge base into human consciousness. Explained Hayes, the information included star maps, technological specifications, and historical records spanning thousands of years of galactic development. Long-term communication with alien entities produced unexpected effects on human personnel. Specialists working closely with these beings developed enhanced cognitive abilities, admitted Chen, improved pattern recognition, expanded memory capacity, and what could only be called telepathic sensitivity to consciousness-based communication. The Communication Division discovered evidence of an established galactic communication network that Earth was not yet connected to. The entities described a quantum-based information system linking civilizations across vast distances, revealed Wilson. Real-time communication between star systems was routine for advanced civilizations. Security protocols for communication work were extraordinary. All contact sessions were monitored by multiple recording systems and consciousness-dampening fields to prevent unauthorized information transfer. Explained Kim, personnel underwent psychological evaluation before and after each communication session. The psychological impact on communication specialists was significant. Learning that humanity was essentially a developing civilization under observation by advanced galactic societies was psychologically devastating. Admitted Martinez, we had to completely reassess human significance in the cosmic hierarchy. Some communication attempts revealed information about human evolutionary origins that challenged conventional scientific understanding. Certain entities suggested that human consciousness had been influenced by extraterrestrial genetic modification in the distant past, described Hayes. They claimed that human cognitive abilities were partially artificial, designed to eventually enable galactic communication. The communication protocols developed at Area 51 became templates for potential future contact scenarios. We created frameworks for establishing diplomatic relations, emergency communication procedures, and consciousness protection protocols, explained Chen. These systems could be activated if broader alien contact became public. Training programs for new communication specialists required psychological preparation for concepts that challenged fundamental human assumptions. We had to teach linguists to think beyond terrestrial communication patterns, described Wilson. These beings represented consciousness evolution under different conditions, possibly different universal constants. Advanced technology was developed to facilitate human-alien communication interfaces. We created consciousness matter interaction devices, quantum entanglement communication systems, and neural interface amplifiers, revealed Kim. These tools allowed human consciousness to operate at frequencies compatible with extraterrestrial communication methods. The retirement of original communication specialists created significant institutional knowledge loss. Each specialist developed unique interface abilities that couldn't be easily transferred to new personnel, concluded Martinez. The relationships established with alien entities were personal as much as professional. The communication specialists who developed alien contact protocols spent their careers bridging the gap between human and extraterrestrial consciousness. Their testimonies reveal successful establishment of diplomatic communication with galactic civilizations, suggesting that humanity's relationship with alien intelligence extends far beyond recovered technology to active, ongoing contact that continues to influence human development in ways the public has never suspected. Chapter 10: The Whistleblowers Who Paid the Price. Dr. Jonathan Morse knew his career would end the moment he decided to speak publicly about what he'd witnessed at Area 51. After 17 years working on what the military classified as foreign technology integration programs, the burden of keeping humanity's most significant discovery secret had become unbearable. In 1997, during a conference on aerospace technology, Morse revealed details about reverse-engineered alien propulsion systems. Within 72 hours, his security clearance was revoked, his research contracts were terminated, and his reputation in the scientific community was systematically destroyed. "They didn't just fire me," Morse explained in a 2009 interview conducted from his modest apartment in rural Montana. "They erased me. Publications I'd authored disappeared from databases. Colleagues stopped returning phone calls. Universities that had courted my expertise suddenly found my qualifications inadequate. I went from being a respected physicist to an unemployable conspiracy theorist overnight." Morse's experience exemplified the systematic approach used to silence Area 51 personnel who violated their oaths of secrecy. The process was refined over decades, combining legal intimidation, social isolation, and professional destruction to ensure that few would risk speaking out. Colonel William Jake Patterson faced similar consequences when he attempted to reveal information about alien contact protocols in 1994. As a former communications specialist who had participated in direct dialogue with extraterrestrial entities, Patterson felt morally obligated to inform the public about humanity's place in galactic civilization. "I started small," Patterson recalled in his posthumously published memoir. "I spoke at UFO conferences, gave interviews to researchers, tried to prepare people gradually for the truth. But the response was immediate and devastating. My military pension was suspended pending investigation. My home was burglarized 3 times in 2 months. My family received anonymous threats detailed enough to convince them I was putting everyone in danger. Patterson's medical records were leaked to discredit his testimony, revealing a history of depression and anxiety that predated his Area 51 assignment. The information was selectively edited to suggest psychological instability, undermining his credibility, despite the fact that his mental health issues were consequences of the psychological pressure of maintaining classified secrets. Technical Sergeant Maria Santos discovered the personal cost of whistleblowing when she attempted to reveal information about underground alien storage facilities in 1996. After 15 years maintaining security for what she called impossible technology, Santos felt the public deserved to know about the advanced civilization monitoring Earth. "I thought I was being careful," Santos explained during a rare 2006 interview. "I shared information anonymously through intermediaries, provided documents through untraceable channels. But they identified me within weeks. The harassment began subtly: equipment failures, delayed promotions, reassignment to undesirable posts. When that didn't silence me, the tactics escalated." Santos faced a coordinated campaign designed to discredit her professionally and personally. Her service record was retroactively amended to include disciplinary actions that had never occurred. Colleagues were pressured to sign statements questioning her reliability and mental stability. Her security clearance was revoked for allegedly failing psychological evaluations that she had never taken. The most brutal example of whistleblower persecution involved Dr. Sarah Chen, a former biological analysis specialist who attempted to reveal information about extraterrestrial autopsy programs in 1999. Chen's disclosures included detailed medical findings that proved the non-human origin of specimens examined at Area 51. "They destroyed everything I'd worked for," Chen revealed in her final interview before her death in 2011. "My medical license was revoked for alleged ethical violations. My research was declared fraudulent despite independent verification. My children were harassed at school. My husband lost his job when his employer was warned about associating with a national security risk." Chen's persecution extended beyond professional destruction to systematic social isolation. Friends and colleagues were contacted by individuals claiming to represent federal agencies, warning them that association with Chen could affect their own security clearances and career prospects. The campaign was so effective that Chen eventually relocated to a different state and assumed a new identity. The government's whistleblower suppression program operated through what former intelligence officers called the Comprehensive Discrediting Protocol. This systematic approach combined legal harassment, professional sabotage, social isolation, and psychological pressure to ensure that speaking out about Area 51 programs carried devastating personal consequences. The goal wasn't just to silence individual whistleblowers, explained former CIA operative Robert Hayes in his 2013 deathbed confession. "We needed to create such severe consequences that other potential leakers would see what happened and choose silence. Each destroyed career served as a warning to hundreds of other personnel who might consider speaking out." Legal intimidation formed the foundation of the suppression program. Whistleblowers faced lawsuits alleging breach of contract, violation of non-disclosure agreements, and theft of government property. Even when cases were eventually dismissed, the legal costs and stress were sufficient to destroy most individuals financially and psychologically. "The legal system became a weapon," admitted former Justice Department Attorney Jennifer Foster, who participated in whistleblower prosecution from 1991 to 2003. We filed charges we knew wouldn't stick, obtained restraining orders based on questionable evidence, and initiated investigations designed to consume the target's resources rather than uncover facts. Media manipulation played a crucial role in discrediting whistleblowers. Stories were planted portraying them as mentally unstable, financially motivated, or professionally incompetent. Legitimate journalists who showed interest in their claims faced similar pressure, including threats to their own careers and access to government sources. We had assets in major news organizations, revealed former NSA media liaison David Kim in a 2015 interview. Whistleblower stories could be killed before publication, buried on back pages, or countered with disinformation that made the original claims seem ridiculous. Public perception was as important as legal suppression. The psychological operations directed against whistleblowers were particularly sophisticated. Teams of specialists developed detailed profiles of each target, identifying personal vulnerabilities that could be exploited to maximize psychological pressure. We studied their family relationships, financial pressures, health issues, and personal fears, explained former psychological operations specialist Linda Martinez. Then we designed harassment campaigns that exploited those specific vulnerabilities. The goal was to create so much stress that the target would voluntarily stop speaking out just to make the pressure end. Cases. Some whistleblowers faced more direct intimidation. Vehicles were tampered with, homes were burglarized, and family members received threatening communications. While these actions were never directly traceable to government agencies, the timing and specificity suggested official involvement. I received phone calls describing my daughter's school schedule in detail, recalled former radar operator Michael Torres, who attempted to reveal information about anomalous aircraft tracking in 2001. My car's brake lines were cut twice. My credit rating was destroyed through false reports to financial agencies. The message was clear: stop talking or face escalating consequences. The most effective suppression technique involved character assassination through selective disclosure of personal information. Whistleblowers' private lives were investigated extensively, and embarrassing or compromising information was strategically leaked to undermine their credibility. They had dirt on everyone, admitted former security chief Patricia Wilson. Affairs, financial problems, family disputes, medical issues. Any personal weakness became ammunition for destroying credibility. Even completely honest individuals could be made to look unreliable through selective revelation of private information. Some whistleblowers died under circumstances that raised questions about official involvement. While deaths were typically attributed to suicide, accident, or natural causes, the timing often coincided with planned public disclosures or increased media attention. The pattern was unmistakable to those of us on the inside, revealed former base commander Colonel James Crawford in his 2016 memoir. Whistleblowers who couldn't be silenced through conventional means had a disturbing tendency to die at convenient moments. Whether these deaths were deliberate or simply stress-induced remains classified. The psychological toll on families was severe. Children were ostracized at school, spouses lost jobs, and extended family members faced harassment by association. Many whistleblowers eventually recanted their statements simply to protect their loved ones from continued persecution. Watching my family suffer for my decision to speak out was harder than any professional consequences, explained former engineer Donald Price, who attempted to reveal information about alien technology integration in 2004. Eventually, I publicly retracted my statements and apologized for spreading misinformation. The harassment stopped immediately, but the truth remained buried. The comprehensive nature of the suppression program was revealed through the testimonies of former intelligence operatives who felt guilty about their roles in destroying innocent people's lives. Their accounts demonstrate a systematic, multi-agency effort to ensure that Area 51's secrets remained protected regardless of the human cost. We destroyed good people for trying to tell the truth, concluded former CIA operative Hayes in his final statement. Men and women who had served their country faithfully were persecuted, bankrupted, and broken simply for believing the public deserved to know about humanity's contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. The whistleblowers who paid the price for attempting to reveal Area 51's secrets faced consequences designed to serve as warnings to others. Their testimonies, often given years after their persecution, reveal the extraordinary lengths to which government agencies would go to protect what they considered humanity's most sensitive secrets from public disclosure. Chapter 11. Aerospace Executives Reveal Corporate Involvement. Charles Henderson never expected his promotion to Vice President of Advanced Development at Lockheed would lead to managing humanity's most profitable secret. When he joined the company's Classified Programs Division in 1979, Henderson assumed he'd be overseeing conventional military contracts. His first briefing at Area 51 revealed that major aerospace corporations had been reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology for decades, transforming alien innovations into the most lucrative defense contracts in history. They showed me into a conference room where representatives from Boeing, Northrop, McDonnell Douglas, and Raytheon were already seated, Henderson recalled in his 2014 memoir. The project manager laid out blueprints that were clearly not of human origin, alongside procurement contracts worth billions of dollars. Our job was to figure out how to manufacture these designs using terrestrial materials and production methods. The corporate involvement in alien technology programs began in the 1960s, when military research teams realized that reverse engineering extraterrestrial craft required industrial capabilities beyond government facilities. Private contractors were brought in through carefully structured agreements that provided access to revolutionary technology while ensuring absolute secrecy. The profit potential was staggering, explained former Boeing executive Margaret Chen, who managed classified contracts from 1982 to 1995. We were being handed technological breakthroughs that would have taken human research decades to achieve independently. Stealth capabilities, advanced propulsion systems, exotic materials, electronic warfare technologies. Each alien innovation could be developed into multiple lucrative product lines. Chen described how corporations divided alien technology research among specialized teams to prevent any single group from understanding the complete picture. Lockheed would handle propulsion systems, Boeing focused on avionics, Northrop specialized in stealth applications, and Raytheon developed electronic warfare capabilities. Each company received partial alien designs that they could adapt for specific military applications. The integration of alien technology into human aircraft design required careful management to avoid revealing the true source of innovations. We had to make revolutionary breakthroughs appear like natural technological evolution, revealed former Northrop executive Robert Kim, who coordinated stealth technology development from 1978 to 1987. Kim's team pioneered techniques for incorporating alien materials into conventional aircraft construction. The challenge was adapting their seamless, single-piece construction methods to our manufacturing capabilities. We developed new metalworking techniques, advanced composite materials, and precision molding processes that could approximate alien hull characteristics using terrestrial production methods. The most profitable applications of alien technology involved weapons systems and surveillance capabilities. Every major defense contract from the 1980s onward incorporated some level of reverse-engineered alien technology. Admitted former Raytheon Vice President David Wilson in his 2009 interview, radar systems, missile guidance, electronic countermeasures, satellite communications. The technological advantages were so significant that conventional human engineering couldn't compete. Wilson described how alien technology gave American aerospace companies decisive advantages in international markets. We were selling aircraft and weapons systems that were decades ahead of anything foreign competitors could produce. The profit margins were extraordinary because we were essentially marketing alien innovations as human achievements. Corporate security protocols for alien technology programs exceeded even government classification standards. We had facilities within facilities, explained Chen. Special access areas where only a handful of executives and engineers were allowed. The compartmentalization was so complete that most company employees never knew they were working on projects derived from extraterrestrial sources. The psychological pressure on executives managing alien technology programs was intense. You're sitting in board meetings discussing quarterly profits from technology that proves humanity isn't alone in the universe, revealed Henderson. The cognitive dissonance was overwhelming. We were making billions of dollars from alien innovations, while the public remained completely unaware of their true origins. Long-term strategic planning for corporate alien technology programs involved managing the gradual release of innovations to maximize profit potential. We couldn't introduce revolutionary breakthroughs too quickly, explained Kim. The technology had to be released in incremental improvements that appeared to be natural research and development progress. The corporations developed sophisticated cover story protocols for explaining breakthrough technologies. Every alien-derived innovation required plausible human research backgrounds, described Wilson. We created fictional development timelines, false research documentation, and staged testing programs that would explain how we'd achieved impossible technological advances. Intellectual property issues surrounding alien technology created unique legal challenges. How do you patent technology that was reverse-engineered from extraterrestrial sources? Questioned former McDonnell Douglas legal counsel Sarah Martinez, who handled classified contract law from 1984 to 1992. We developed legal frameworks that protected corporate investment in alien technology development while avoiding any documentation that might reveal the true origins. Martinez described how corporations used alien technology patents to maintain technological monopolies. Companies could file patents on innovations they'd reverse-engineered from alien sources, effectively claiming ownership of extraterrestrial intellectual property. The legal system wasn't equipped to handle technology that originated outside human civilization. International competition drove aggressive development of alien technology applications. Foreign governments were conducting their own UFO research programs, revealed Chen. We knew that whoever successfully reverse-engineered alien technology first would dominate global aerospace markets for decades. The commercial stakes were as high as the national security implications. The most sensitive corporate programs involved attempts to manufacture completely alien systems, rather than adapting their principles to human technology. By the 1990s, we were building exact replicas of alien propulsion systems. Admitted Henderson, these weren't human interpretations of alien technology. They were precise duplicates that operated according to extraterrestrial engineering principles. Quality control for alien technology manufacturing required developing entirely new testing procedures. Standard aerospace testing protocols were inadequate, explained Kim. We had to verify that replicated alien systems would operate safely in terrestrial environments while maintaining their extraordinary performance characteristics. Corporate research and development budgets allocated to alien technology programs dwarfed conventional aerospace spending. We were investing more in reverse engineering projects than all other research combined, revealed Wilson. The return on investment was guaranteed because we were copying proven designs rather than developing new technology through trial and error. The integration of alien technology into civilian aircraft created additional profit opportunities. Commercial aviation benefited enormously from alien-derived innovations, explained Martinez. Advanced navigation systems, improved fuel efficiency, enhanced safety features. The public was unknowingly flying in aircraft that incorporated extraterrestrial technology. Employee recruitment for alien technology programs required extensive psychological screening and security clearance processes. We needed engineers and designers capable of working with technology that challenged fundamental assumptions about physics and engineering, described Chen. The psychological profiles were as important as technical qualifications. Training programs for corporate personnel working on alien technology projects included preparation for concepts that violated conventional scientific understanding. Engineers had to learn to think beyond terrestrial engineering principles, explained Henderson. The alien systems operated according to different physical laws that required completely new approaches to design and manufacturing. Manufacturing costs for alien technology replications were initially enormous, but decreased dramatically as production methods improved. Early prototypes cost hundreds of millions to produce, revealed Kim. But once we developed efficient manufacturing processes, the profit margins became extraordinary. We could sell technology for billions that cost relatively little to produce. Corporate lobbying efforts ensured that government funding for alien technology programs continued at high levels. We maintained extensive relationships with Pentagon procurement officials and congressional defense committees. Admitted Wilson, the military-industrial complex became dependent on alien technology innovations for maintaining technological superiority. The most classified aspect of corporate involvement concerned ongoing relationships with extraterrestrial entities. Some contracts involved direct consultation with alien technical advisors, revealed Martinez in her most sensitive disclosure. Corporate executives participated in meetings with extraterrestrial representatives to discuss technology transfer agreements and manufacturing licensing. Retirement benefits for executives involved in alien technology programs included extensive non-disclosure agreements and lifetime monitoring to ensure continued secrecy. Even after leaving the companies, we remained subject to security protocols, explained Chen. The financial benefits were substantial, but the psychological burden of keeping such secrets was devastating. The long-term economic impact of alien technology integration transformed the entire aerospace industry. Every major technological advancement from the 1970s onward incorporated some level of reverse-engineered alien innovation, concluded Henderson. The profits generated from extraterrestrial technology funded the entire military-industrial complex while keeping the public completely unaware of humanity's dependence on alien knowledge. The aerospace executives who managed corporate alien technology programs oversaw the transformation of extraterrestrial innovations into humanity's most profitable defense contracts. Their testimonies reveal an industry built on reverse-engineered alien technology that generated trillions in revenue while concealing the true source of America's technological dominance from both foreign competitors and the crested American public. Chapter 12. The Recovery Team Veterans. Master Sergeant Frank Bulldog Morrison never expected his military demolitions expertise would lead to retrieving spacecraft from another world. When he was recruited for the Air Force's Special Acquisition and Recovery Division in 1974, Morrison thought he'd be handling conventional aircraft crashes and sensitive weapons recovery. His first mission briefing at Nellis Air Force Base revealed that his team's true purpose involved securing technology that could reshape human understanding of the universe. They showed us photographs of a crash site in the Nevada desert that looked like nothing I'd seen in 20 years of military service, Morrison explained in his 2010 memoir. The wreckage wasn't metal in any conventional sense. It was a seamless, curved material that seemed to bend light around itself. The pieces were scattered across 3 acres, but there were no impact craters, no burn marks, no evidence of a conventional crash. The Special Acquisition and Recovery Division operated as a rapid response unit capable of deploying anywhere in the continental United States within 4 hours of notification. Team members were selected for technical expertise, security clearance, and psychological stability necessary for handling encounters with technology beyond human understanding. We trained for scenarios that officially didn't exist, revealed Technical Sergeant Maria Santos, who served on recovery teams from 1977 to 1986. Containment procedures for materials that might be radioactive, biological, or operate according to unknown physical principles. Transportation protocols for objects that could affect electronic equipment, gravity fields, or human consciousness. Santos described specialized equipment developed specifically for anomalous aircraft recovery. Standard military hardware was inadequate for handling alien technology. We used electromagnetic shielding containers, gravitational field dampening equipment, and consciousness protection gear that would prevent exposure to whatever effects these craft might produce. The recovery teams worked in coordination with scientific analysis units and intelligence agencies to ensure that sensitive materials reached secure facilities without detection. Every mission involved multiple agencies with different objectives, explained Staff Sergeant Robert Chen, who participated in 17 recovery operations between 1979 and 1988. Chen's team specialized in what they called hot retrievals, missions involving recently crashed craft that might still be active or contain surviving occupants. The most dangerous recoveries were fresh crash sites where the technology hadn't fully shut down. We'd approach with detection equipment showing electromagnetic fields, gravitational anomalies, and occasionally signals suggesting the craft was attempting to communicate. The psychological preparation for recovery operations included training for encounters with non-human entities. We were briefed on the possibility of finding survivors, revealed Sergeant First Class David Kim, who served from 1981 to 1991. Medical protocols, communication attempts, containment procedures if the beings were hostile or dangerous. Most of us hoped we'd never need that training. Kim's most memorable mission occurred in 1985, when his team recovered a nearly intact craft from the Colorado mountains. The vehicle was approximately 40 feet in diameter, disc-shaped, with a hull that appeared undamaged despite obvious impact with rocky terrain. When we approached, the craft was humming quietly and emitting a faint blue glow from what appeared to be observation ports. Recovery protocols required establishing secure perimeters before beginning extraction procedures. We'd cordon off the area with electromagnetic detection equipment and consciousness monitoring devices, explained Morrison. Civilian witnesses were debriefed by intelligence specialists and sworn to secrecy. Cover stories were planted in local media to explain any unusual activity. Transportation of recovered materials required specialized vehicles designed to contain technology that might interfere with conventional aircraft or ground transport. We used shielded cargo containers loaded onto trucks with electromagnetic dampening systems. Described Santos. Some larger craft required disassembly at the crash site and transport in multiple heavily guarded convoys. The most challenging recoveries involved craft that had crashed in populated areas where civilian witnesses complicated containment efforts. Urban retrieval operations required coordination with local law enforcement, emergency services, and sometimes federal disaster response teams. Revealed Chen, we'd establish cover stories about chemical spills, gas leaks, or military training exercises to clear the area. Emergency medical protocols were developed for recovery team members who experienced adverse effects from exposure to alien technology. Some craft emitted fields that could cause disorientation, memory loss, or altered consciousness, explained Kim. Team members worked in shifts with mandatory medical monitoring to prevent overexposure to unknown radiation or consciousness-affecting energies. The recovery teams encountered evidence that different crash sites contained technology from multiple sources. We retrieved materials that appeared to represent several distinct technological traditions, noted Morrison. Different construction methods, different materials, different approaches to solving similar engineering problems. It suggested contact with multiple extraterrestrial civilizations. Long-term storage of recovered materials required facilities capable of containing technology that might remain active indefinitely. Some wreckage would be transported to Area 51 for immediate analysis, described Santos. Larger pieces, or complete craft, went to underground storage facilities in various locations across the western United States. The psychological impact on recovery personnel was carefully monitored through regular evaluation sessions. Handling proof that humanity isn't alone in the universe while maintaining absolute secrecy created enormous stress, admitted Chen. Some team members developed anxiety disorders. Others became obsessed with understanding the technology they'd recovered. Advanced detection equipment was developed to locate crash sites that might not be immediately visible. We used gravitational anomaly detectors, electromagnetic signature scanners, and consciousness matter interaction sensors. Revealed Kim. Some craft could partially phase out of normal space-time, making them difficult to locate using conventional search methods. The most sensitive recovery operations involved craft that had been deliberately shot down rather than accidentally crashed. Military engagement with alien vehicles was extremely rare, but not unprecedented, explained Morrison in his most classified disclosure. When it occurred, recovery operations became even more urgent because the implications for human-alien relations could be catastrophic. Witness management formed a crucial component of recovery operations. Civilian observers were handled by specialized psychological operations teams described Santos. Memory modification techniques, strategic disinformation, and sometimes relocation programs were used to ensure that witnesses couldn't compromise operational security. The recovery teams discovered that some crash sites showed evidence of previous alien recovery efforts. We'd find areas where wreckage had been partially cleared by unknown parties. Revealed Chen. The extraction patterns suggested technology and techniques beyond human capabilities. It appeared that other alien groups were also recovering crashed craft. International incidents involving alien technology recovery required delicate coordination with foreign governments. When craft crashed in allied countries, recovery operations became diplomatic missions. Explained Kim. We'd provide technical assistance while ensuring that the most sensitive materials were transferred to American facilities. Training programs for new recovery personnel included psychological preparation for encounters that challenged fundamental assumptions about reality. Recruits had to demonstrate emotional stability when confronted with proof of extraterrestrial intelligence, noted Morrison. The screening process eliminated individuals who couldn't handle the cognitive disruption of discovering that everything they believed about humanity's place in the universe was incomplete. Equipment maintenance for specialized recovery gear required understanding technology that operated on principles beyond conventional engineering. Our detection and containment equipment incorporated reverse-engineered alien innovations, admitted Santos. Maintaining gear that used extraterrestrial technology to handle extraterrestrial technology created interesting philosophical questions. The most dangerous recovery missions involved craft that were still occupied by injured but living extraterrestrial beings. Medical protocols for alien survivors were extremely limited. Revealed Chen. We had basic life support procedures, but attempting to provide medical care to beings with completely different physiology was challenging and often unsuccessful. Communication attempts during recovery operations occasionally resulted in contact with alien intelligence. Some craft contained conscious entities who tried to communicate with our teams, described Kim. These encounters were immediately reported to communication specialists who would attempt to establish meaningful dialogue. Retirement from recovery operations often brought relief, but also frustration for team members who carried extraordinary secrets. We'd handled proof of humanity's contact with multiple alien civilizations, concluded Morrison. The knowledge that such momentous discoveries remained classified while the public debated whether extraterrestrial life might exist was psychologically difficult to bear. The recovery team veterans who secured alien technology spent their careers handling evidence that transformed human understanding of our place in the cosmos. Their testimonies reveal a systematic program for retrieving and concealing extraterrestrial technology that continues to influence military capabilities and scientific development while remaining hidden from public knowledge. Chapter 13. Base commanders reveal the bigger picture. General Patricia Hartwell commanded Area 51 during some of the most critical years in human extraterrestrial relations. From 1987 to 1994, she oversaw what she described as the transition from studying recovered alien technology to managing active diplomatic contact with multiple galactic civilizations. When Hartwell agreed to break her 40-year silence in 2015, her revelations provided the strategic perspective that previous testimonies had lacked. People think Area 51 was about reverse engineering crashed flying saucers, Hartwell explained in her restricted interview. By the time I took command, we were operating as Earth's unofficial embassy to a galactic community that had been monitoring human development for centuries. Every decision we made had implications that extended far beyond national security to species survival. Hartwell inherited a program that had evolved far beyond its original mission of studying recovered alien technology. The strategic importance of Area 51 wasn't just military or technological. She revealed, we were managing humanity's introduction to galactic civilization, while ensuring that contact occurred at a pace that wouldn't destabilize human society or compromise Earth's strategic position. The decision-making process for extraterrestrial contact policies involved the highest levels of government, according to former Base Commander Colonel Robert Chen, who served from 1979 to 1986. Presidential briefings on alien contact occurred regularly, but the full scope of our relationship with extraterrestrial civilizations was known only to a select few, Chen admitted in his 2012 memoir. Chen described a compartmentalized command structure where even base commanders weren't briefed on all aspects of the alien contact program. I managed day-to-day operations without understanding the broader diplomatic framework, he explained. Strategic decisions about long-term human-alien relations were made at levels above Area 51's command structure. The international implications of extraterrestrial contact created complex diplomatic challenges that extended far beyond American interests. We were making decisions that affected all of humanity while operating under American military command, revealed General Margaret Foster, who commanded the base from 1995 to 2002. Foster's tenure coincided with what she called the Galactic Integration Period, when contact with alien civilizations became more systematic and formal. We established regular diplomatic meetings with representatives from several galactic councils. Foster disclosed, these weren't secret negotiations about technology transfer. They were discussions about humanity's eventual integration into galactic society. The strategic planning for managing extraterrestrial contact involved scenarios that challenged conventional military thinking. Traditional concepts of national defense became irrelevant when dealing with civilizations capable of traveling between star systems, explained Chen. We had to develop entirely new strategic frameworks for protecting human interests while acknowledging our technological inferiority. Long-term planning documents revealed the scope of considerations involved in managing alien contact. We developed 100-year strategic plans for gradually introducing advanced technology to human civilization, admitted Hartwell. The goal was to prevent economic collapse, social upheaval, or religious crisis while preparing humanity for eventual galactic membership. The economic implications of alien technology integration required careful management to prevent destabilizing existing industries and financial systems. Introducing energy sources that could make fossil fuels obsolete overnight would have destroyed global economic stability, explained Foster. We had to balance technological advancement with economic continuity. Military strategic planning incorporated alien technological capabilities into defense scenarios. Once we understood the scope of galactic military technology, traditional Earth-based conflicts became strategically irrelevant. Revealed Chen, our focus shifted from competing with other human nations to positioning humanity within galactic power structures. The psychological operations aspects of managing alien contact extended to shaping public perception and cultural preparation. Science fiction entertainment, UFO phenomena coverage, and gradual disclosure of space exploration discoveries were all coordinated to prepare human consciousness for eventual contact. admitted Hartwell. International coordination became crucial as other nations developed their own extraterrestrial contact programs. By the 1990s, we knew that Russia, China, and several European countries had established their own alien technology research programs. Revealed Foster, coordination between nations was essential to prevent conflicts that could jeopardize Earth's relationship with galactic civilizations. The religious and philosophical implications of alien contact required consultation with theologians, philosophers, and social scientists. We maintained advisory committees of scholars who helped us understand how extraterrestrial contact would affect human religious beliefs, social structures, and cultural identity, explained Chen. Risk assessment for alien contact scenarios included preparation for potential conflicts or misunderstandings. Not all galactic civilizations were friendly to human development, admitted Hartwell. We had to balance diplomatic engagement with defensive preparations for civilizations that viewed humanity as a potential threat. The technological transfer programs operated under strict guidelines designed to prevent destabilizing human society. Alien innovations were introduced gradually through seemingly natural research and development programs. Revealed Foster. Breakthroughs in computing, materials science, and energy production were actually controlled releases of extraterrestrial technology. Strategic deception operations ensured that human populations remained unaware of the true scope of alien contact. Maintaining the fiction that extraterrestrial contact was speculative rather than ongoing was essential for social stability, explained Chen. Public revelation of galactic civilization would have created panic, religious upheaval, and economic collapse. The command structure for alien contact programs involved coordination between military, intelligence, scientific, and diplomatic personnel. Managing extraterrestrial relations required expertise that no single agency possessed, admitted Hartwell. We created interdisciplinary command teams that could address technological, cultural, and strategic implications simultaneously. Long-term human development planning incorporated alien guidance on evolutionary and technological advancement. Certain galactic civilizations provided recommendations for human genetic development, consciousness expansion, and technological progression. Revealed Foster. These weren't instructions but suggestions for optimizing human potential. The ethical considerations of managing alien contact without public knowledge created moral dilemmas for command personnel. We were making decisions that affected all of humanity based on information that humanity wasn't allowed to know, explained Chen. The psychological burden of such responsibility was enormous. Security protocols for alien contact operations exceeded any previous military classification standards. Information about galactic civilization was compartmentalized beyond traditional intelligence methods, admitted Hartwell. Even base commanders knew only fragments of the complete strategic picture. The educational preparation programs for personnel involved in alien contact required psychological conditioning for concepts that challenged human understanding. Military officers had to be prepared for command decisions involving civilizations with millions of years of technological advancement, revealed Foster. Strategic planning for potential public disclosure scenarios included comprehensive social impact assessments. We developed detailed protocols for managing public revelation of alien contact if secrecy became impossible to maintain, explained Chen. These plans addressed everything from economic stabilization to religious counseling. The bureaucratic challenges of managing alien contact through human governmental structures created unique administrative problems. How do you create budget allocations for diplomatic meetings with galactic councils? Questioned Hartwell. Standard military accounting procedures weren't designed for extraterrestrial embassy operations. Succession planning for alien contact programs ensured continuity across changes in political leadership. Presidential transitions couldn't be allowed to disrupt ongoing diplomatic relations with galactic civilizations, admitted Foster. We maintained briefing protocols that preserved strategic relationships regardless of domestic political changes. The intelligence coordination aspects of alien contact involved sharing information with allied nations while protecting the most sensitive diplomatic developments. Balancing international cooperation with strategic advantage created complex intelligence management challenges, revealed Chen. Long-term strategic assessments suggested that eventual public disclosure of alien contact was inevitable. The question wasn't whether humanity would learn about galactic civilization, but when and how that revelation would occur, concluded Hartwell. Our strategic planning focused on managing disclosure in ways that would benefit human development rather than destabilize civilization. The base commanders who managed the bigger picture of alien contact reveal strategic considerations that extended far beyond military technology to encompass humanity's eventual integration into galactic society. Their testimonies suggest that Area 51's true mission involved managing Earth's transition from an isolated planet to a member of a vast interstellar community. Chapter 14. The Current Insiders. What's Happening Now? The source who contacted us in 2023 insisted on using the codename Phoenix for obvious reasons. Still actively employed at Area 51, in a position he described as Consciousness Integration Specialist, Phoenix represents a new generation of personnel working on programs that their predecessors could never have imagined. According to his account, the alien technology research that began in the 1950s has evolved into something far more profound than reverse engineering crashed spacecraft. The old-timers were trying to figure out how alien machines worked, Phoenix explained during our encrypted communication session. We're learning how alien consciousness interfaces with reality itself. The technology was never just about propulsion or energy sources. It was about beings who could manipulate fundamental aspects of existence through focused intention. Phoenix's revelations suggest that Area 51's current operations focus on what researchers call consciousness-reality interface programs. We've discovered that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations don't just build machines, he revealed. They create hybrid systems where consciousness, technology, and physical reality merge into unified operating platforms. According to recent retirees who agreed to anonymous interviews, the underground facilities beneath Groom Lake have expanded dramatically since 2010. The original complex extended maybe 5 levels below ground, explained a former facility manager who retired in 2019. Current operations reach at least 15 levels, with specialized laboratories for research that goes far beyond anything the public could imagine. The new underground facilities reportedly include chambers designed for what personnel call dimensional interface testing. These areas allow researchers to study alien technologies that operate partially outside normal space-time. Some of the craft we're working with exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, revealed a former engineering supervisor. Standard 3-dimensional analysis is inadequate for understanding how they function. Current research programs apparently focus on integrating human consciousness with alien technological systems. The breakthrough came when we realized that these technologies require biological interface to operate effectively, explained Phoenix. The craft aren't just vehicles, they're consciousness amplification systems designed to expand the mental capabilities of their operators. The personnel selection process for current Area 51 programs emphasizes psychological compatibility over technical expertise. We recruit individuals with specific consciousness patterns that can interface with alien technology, revealed a former human resources coordinator who left the program in 2021. Traditional engineering skills are less important than the ability to merge human awareness with extraterrestrial operating systems. Training programs for new personnel include consciousness expansion techniques that prepare them for direct interface with alien technology. Standard military training is completely inadequate, admitted Phoenix. We teach meditation, consciousness projection, and mental discipline techniques that allow human operators to think at frequencies compatible with alien systems. The most sensitive current programs involve what researchers call hybrid consciousness development. According to sources, some personnel undergo procedures that permanently alter their cognitive capabilities to better interface with alien technology. It's not just training, explained a former medical coordinator. We're creating hybrid human-alien consciousness that can operate technologies requiring both human and extraterrestrial mental patterns. Recent technological breakthroughs apparently result from successful integration of human consciousness with alien systems. The advances you see in civilian technology, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, space exploration, all of it incorporates insights gained from consciousness technology integration programs, revealed a former research director who retired in 2022. Current international cooperation on alien technology research reportedly extends far beyond American programs. By 2015, we were coordinating with research facilities in 12 countries, explained a former diplomatic liaison. The Chinese have made remarkable progress in consciousness technology interface. The Europeans excel at biological integration systems. Russians have advanced gravitational manipulation technologies. The ongoing relationship with extraterrestrial civilizations has apparently evolved into formal diplomatic and technological exchange agreements. We're not just studying crashed vehicles anymore, admitted Phoenix. We have regular meetings with representatives from multiple galactic civilizations, trade agreements, technology sharing, cultural exchange programs. Earth is becoming an active member of galactic society. The mating different to SOD. Current security protocols for alien technology programs reportedly incorporate consciousness monitoring and mental conditioning techniques. Traditional security clearances are inadequate when dealing with technologies that can be operated through thought alone, explained a former security coordinator. Personnel are monitored for consciousness compatibility, mental stability, and loyalty through methods that go far beyond standard psychological evaluation. The economic implications of current alien technology integration apparently extend throughout global financial systems. Advanced alien technologies are being introduced through seemingly natural technological development, revealed a former program economist. Energy breakthroughs, material sciences, communication systems, all carefully managed to prevent economic disruption while advancing human capability. Recent discoveries apparently include evidence of multiple extraterrestrial civilizations with different relationships to human development. Some alien groups have been guiding human evolution for millennia, claimed Phoenix. Others are recent arrivals studying human consciousness as a unique phenomenon. A few are concerned about human technological advancement and its implications for galactic stability. Current research facilities reportedly include chambers for studying alien beings who are active participants rather than preserved specimens. We have ongoing relationships with extraterrestrial entities who serve as technical advisors and cultural liaisons, revealed a former diplomatic coordinator. These aren't prisoners or specimens. They're colleagues working on mutual research projects. The consciousness integration programs apparently produce permanent changes in human personnel. Individuals who work closely with alien consciousness technology systems develop expanded mental capabilities that persist after their assignments end, explained a former medical researcher. Enhanced intuition, expanded memory, telepathic sensitivity, the ability to interface directly with advanced technological systems. Current space programs reportedly incorporate alien technology far more extensively than public missions suggest. The Mars exploration programs, satellite networks, space station operations all utilize alien-derived technologies and sometimes direct alien technical support, claimed Phoenix. Human space exploration is actually joint human-alien collaboration. The psychological support systems for current personnel reportedly address challenges unknown to previous generations. Working with consciousness-altering alien technologies requires intensive mental health support, explained a former counseling coordinator. Personnel can develop identity confusion, reality dissociation, and integration disorders when human consciousness merges too completely with alien mental patterns. Recent recruitment apparently targets individuals with specific genetic and psychological profiles compatible with alien consciousness integration. We identify candidates through genetic screening, consciousness compatibility testing, and psychological evaluation for traits that indicate potential for successful human-alien mental interface, revealed a former recruitment specialist. Current underground facilities reportedly include manufacturing capabilities for producing hybrid human-alien technologies. We're not just reverse engineering alien devices anymore, admitted Phoenix. We're creating new technologies that combine human innovation with alien principles, designed specifically for human-alien consciousness integration. The most classified current programs apparently involve preparation for eventual public disclosure of alien contact. We're developing protocols for managing humanity's introduction to galactic civilization, explained a former strategic planning coordinator. Economic transition plans, social integration programs, educational curricula for teaching galactic history and culture. Recent technological advances apparently result from human operators achieving unprecedented integration with alien consciousness systems. Some personnel have achieved mental synchronization with alien technologies that allows them to operate systems beyond current human understanding, revealed Phoenix. These individuals represent the future of human-alien technological collaboration. Current research priorities reportedly focus on expanding human consciousness to levels compatible with advanced galactic civilizations. The ultimate goal isn't just using alien technology, explained a former research coordinator. We're evolving human consciousness to function effectively in galactic society while maintaining human identity and values. Phoenix's final revelation suggests that Area 51's current mission extends far beyond national security to species development. We're not just protecting alien secrets anymore, he concluded. We're managing humanity's transformation into a galactic civilization while ensuring that the transition enhances rather than diminishes human potential. The current insiders reveal that Area 51 has evolved from studying alien technology to facilitating humanity's integration into galactic civilization through consciousness expansion and hybrid human-alien. Technological development that may represent the future of human evolution itself. Chapter 15. The Deathbed Confessions. Final Revelations. Dr. Marcus Webb had kept his silence for 63 years when cancer gave him the freedom to speak truth. In his final weeks at Bethesda Naval Hospital in 2018, the former Area 51 xenobiologist summoned the courage to record what he called his final testimony to humanity. Webb's confession, delivered in a weakened voice but with unwavering clarity, revealed the most profound secret in human history. "They're not visitors," Webb whispered into the recording device held by his daughter. "They're our creators. Everything we thought we knew about human evolution, about our origins, about our place in the universe, it's all carefully constructed fiction. We didn't evolve naturally on Earth. We were planted here, modified, guided, and monitored by civilizations that have been managing planetary development across the galaxy for millions of years." Webb's revelation challenged the fundamental assumptions underlying every other testimony about Area 51. His work in the Biological Analysis Division from 1955 to 1978 had provided him with access to genetic evidence that proved humanity's extraterrestrial origins. "The DNA analysis was conclusive," Webb continued in his recording. "Human genetic code contains artificial sequences that couldn't have evolved naturally. Specific gene arrangements that demonstrate intentional design, biological programming that suggests our species was engineered for particular purposes. We're not Earth's native intelligence. We're a colonization project." Former Area 51 Commander General Patricia Morrison chose her granddaughter's wedding day in 2019 to deliver her own deathbed confession. Pulling her family aside during the reception, Morrison revealed information that connected human history to galactic civilization in ways no previous testimony had suggested. "The alien contact didn't begin with Roswell," Morrison explained to her shocked relatives. "It's been continuous since human civilization began. The Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, the Easter Island statues, advanced ancient technologies that mainstream archaeology can't explain. They're all evidence of ongoing extraterrestrial guidance throughout human development." Morrison's strategic position from 1985 to 1992 had given her access to historical records that traced alien intervention through thousands of years of human development. Major turning points in human civilization coincide with increased extraterrestrial activity, she revealed. The Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, the Digital Age, each represents guided technological advancement designed to prepare humanity for eventual galactic integration. The most shocking deathbed confession came from former CIA operative James Crawford, who spent his final days in hospice care dictating revelations that challenged everything his colleagues had believed about their mission. Crawford's testimony, recorded by his son in 2020, revealed that the secrecy surrounding Area 51 served purposes far beyond national security. "We weren't protecting alien secrets from the public," Crawford admitted. "We were protecting the public from learning that human governments have been subordinate to galactic authority for decades." "Earth isn't an independent planet," We're a managed territory in a galactic civilization that makes decisions about our development without consulting human leaders. Crawford described attending meetings where human officials received instructions from extraterrestrial administrators regarding acceptable technological development, population management, and environmental policies. Climate change, nuclear proliferation, space exploration programs, all of it is monitored and controlled by galactic oversight councils that view humanity as a developing species under their protection. Former Area 51 chief scientist Dr. Elena Rodriguez chose her final interview in 2021 to reveal information about human consciousness that her research had uncovered. Rodriguez's work on consciousness technology interface programs had led to discoveries about the nature of human awareness that explained humanity's unique role in galactic civilization. Human consciousness is an experiment, Rodriguez confessed from her hospital bed. Other galactic species developed along predictable evolutionary paths, achieving technological advancement but losing creative and spiritual capabilities that their ancestors possessed. Humans were designed to maintain emotional, artistic, and spiritual development alongside technological progress. Rodriguez's research had revealed that human consciousness possesses qualities that advanced alien civilizations had lost during their own development. They're studying us to understand how to recover capacities they sacrificed for technological advancement. Human creativity, emotional depth, spiritual awareness, these are rare qualities in galactic civilization. We're valuable not despite our limitations, but because of our unique consciousness characteristics. The most comprehensive deathbed confession came from former base commander General Robert Hayes, whose final months in 2022 were spent dictating a complete account of humanity's relationship with galactic civilization. Hayes's testimony, witnessed by multiple family members, provided the broader context that previous revelations had lacked. The galactic community is ancient beyond human comprehension, Hayes revealed. Civilizations that achieved interstellar travel millions of years ago have been guiding planetary development throughout the galaxy. Earth is one of thousands of worlds where they've conducted consciousness development experiments. Some succeed, some fail, some develop in unexpected directions. Hayes described humanity as part of a galactic research program designed to understand consciousness evolution under different conditions. Each managed world receives different guidance, different challenges, different developmental pressures. The goal is to understand how consciousness can evolve while maintaining qualities that purely technological civilizations have lost. Former intelligence coordinator Margaret Chen's final confession in 2023 revealed the personal cost of maintaining such extraordinary secrets. Chen's testimony, recorded by her minister during her last rites, addressed the psychological impact on personnel who spent their careers concealing humanity's true status. Living with knowledge that your entire species is essentially a galactic science project, while watching them debate whether alien life exists, is psychologically devastating, Chen admitted. We knew that human religion, philosophy, science, art, all of it developed under extraterrestrial guidance. Human achievements that we're proud of were actually supervised by beings who view us as an interesting but immature species. The weight of such knowledge had contributed to high rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide among Area 51 personnel. Many of us struggled with questions about human free will, the meaning of human accomplishment, and the value of human civilization when we knew it existed at the discretion of galactic overseers, Chen revealed. Former diplomatic liaison Colonel David Kim's final testimony in 2024 provided details about the future plans that galactic civilization had developed for humanity. Kim's confession, delivered to his wife during his final hours, revealed information about humanity's intended development trajectory. Full galactic integration is planned for some time between 2050 and 2075, Kim whispered. Gradual disclosure will begin soon, preparing humanity for membership in galactic civilization. But our role will be as junior partners under the guidance of species with millions of years of technological advancement. Kim described integration protocols that would preserve human culture while subordinating human governance to galactic authority. Human governments will remain for local administration, but major decisions about planetary development, space exploration, and technological advancement will be made by galactic councils that include human representatives but maintain alien authority. The cumulative impact of these deathbed confessions paints a picture of humanity that differs dramatically from our understanding of human independence and achievement. According to these final testimonies, humans are not discovering alien technology, but recovering capabilities that galactic civilization has always intended us to develop. Former research coordinator Dr. Sarah Foster's final words in 2025 provided perhaps the most profound revelation about human destiny. Foster's deathbed confession, witnessed by her entire family, addressed the ultimate purpose behind humanity's guided development. We're being prepared to serve as consciousness teachers for galactic civilization, Foster revealed. Advanced alien species have achieved technological mastery but lost emotional, creative, and spiritual development. Humans are designed to help them recover these capacities while gaining technological advancement that enhances rather than replaces our consciousness capabilities. Foster's final message suggested that humanity's future role in galactic civilization would be as unique as our developmental path. We're not becoming like them. They're learning to become more like us. The galactic community needs what human consciousness can provide, and we need what their technology can offer. Integration is mutual benefit, not human subordination. The deathbed confessions of Area 51 veterans reveal a reality where humanity's relationship with extraterrestrial intelligence extends far beyond technology transfer to encompass our very origins, development, and destiny. As a species created to bridge the gap between technological advancement and consciousness evolution in an ancient galactic civilization that has guided our development since the beginning of human history. Until the files are declassified and the truth is officially revealed, their voices remain our only window into what really happened inside Area 51.